Hello, minions. Hello, my lovely subjects and followers and minions and all of those other similar words. Welcome back. Welcome back. We have a new emote, as you may have seen on Twitter. This was drawn by Chesu Chesto, and I liked it so much that I asked them if I could make it an emote, and they said yes. So there you go. It's sus. He may sus. I haven't even ever played Among Us. I just thought it was funny. I'm just terminally brain poisoned by funny words. We're reading more Umineko today. Isn't that exciting? I've been really enjoying this second episode. It started off a little slow, but then things got kind of insane. There's energy swords now. There's red speech. It's all wild. It's all a little crazy. Oh, I think we should just dig in, don't you, subjects? Don't you, my loyal followers, who will literally do anything I tell you to do? You've never played FF9. FF9 is one of my favorite Final Fantasies. I hope you enjoy it. By the by, we are officially at 890 followers. I wanted to thank Blink-Twice13 and Andy Brian Lewis, he of the 3 first names, for following sometime when I wasn't streaming. Thanks to them, we've reached 180 followers. We're only 10 followers away from 900. Can you believe it? An army 900 strong. That's bigger than some countries. We're primed to take over the planet, don't you think? Did anyone explain to me what the red truth was? Or bullshit it? Not really. I've seen it in, like, memes and stuff, but those don't properly elocute how it actually works. So everything I know is just what's been explained to me up at this point of the visual novel. Speaking of the visual novel, let's load it. It's 12:55 a.m. Wait, no, that's just that was just the time when I played it, not actually in the game. Yes, it is. The red speech is a true statement, though we've seen that it can be twisted in some ways. With Jessica's death, it became certain that the culprit was hiding somewhere nearby and that they'd come for our lives if they had a chance. According to Genji-san, when tomorrow morning comes, the boat should arrive. The boat had a radio. We'd probably be able to contact the police directly with that. All of us gathered in the parlor and decided to wait quietly until tomorrow. I proposed that we should search throughout the mansion for clues about the culprit, but Aunt Rosa rejected that, saying that if we managed to corner the culprit, or maybe provoke them, it might lead to a third murder. Gonna murderize ya. That was probably the right thing to do. If a bunch of amateurs like us investigated, there's no way we would find anything. You tried to overthink the red speech and doubted whether it was actually true. I think it's true from a certain perspective, maybe. Like, not so much that it is an ultimate, unshakable truth, but that the person saying the red speech believes it to be true. That is my current belief. We'll see how it shakes out. It would be wisest to focus on protecting ourselves without doing anything unnecessary and leave it to the police starting tomorrow. We'd been tense at the beginning, but other than Aunt Rosa, most of us had spent all morning watching TV and getting bored, so our sense of danger had faded considerably. When we thought about it, yes, 6 adults certainly had been killed together in the first murder. But that made it seem like some backhanded method like poison had been used. And for the second murder, we figured those two became sacrifices because they'd been unfortunately isolated from the rest of us. From this, it was possible to imagine that the culprit wasn't a large number of adults, and that they wouldn't be capable of killing this large group gathered in the parlor all at once. Right now, in this parlor, there's George Aniki and me, Maria, Aunt Rosa, Genji-san, Goda-san, Shannon-san, Kumasawa-san, and then Dr. Nanjo for a total of 9 people. Furthermore, Aunt Rosa was even armed with a gun. Yeah, she's packing heat. Surely with this many people staying in this room, they wouldn't be able to touch us easily. That feeling of security, along with the passage of time, allowed us to recover from the shock of that morning bit by bit. By the way, lunchtime had just ended for us. However, it had been a canned lunch. A canned food lunch, a far cry from the dinner last night that Goda-san had skillfully made for us. Aunt Rosa also suspected that poison may have been used in the first murder. So we probably couldn't deny the possibility that the culprit had snuck into the kitchen during all that confusion in the morning and mixed poison in with the ingredients there. Aunt Rosa gave orders to all of us saying that until the police came, we must put anything into our mouths except safe things like canned food. I know, they hate eating like poor people. To be fair, I also hate eating like poor people. Why would I ever have to eat like a poor person? I should be eating like a princess every day of my life, don't you think? As a cook, Goda-san must have felt very let down. Apparently eager to display his skill anyway, he said at least wanted to grab some plates and arrange the canned food on them. At first, Aunt Rosa had been reluctant, examining each one of the plates that were brought, but she hadn't been able to find anything to complain about. Goda's chef's picked canned food lunch combo was born. Goda-san said something about taste being savored not just with the tongue, but with the eyes as well. I see, it's the same canned food we ate for breakfast, but it feels like something completely different. What do you want, Maria? Oh, that old thing. As I was sitting lazily on the sofa with no desire to watch TV, Maria came over, pulled a picture book out of her handbag, and held it out to me. Wolves and sheep puzzle. It was a phrase that Aunt Rosa had said this morning when we'd gone to call on Jessica. At the time, I hadn't known what it meant, and right after that was the uproar when Jessica's corpse was found, so I'd forgotten about it completely. The book that Maria held out to me looked like a foreign picture book or something that had been translated. When I opened it, I realized that it was a book stuffed with riddles. Oh, I remember this one. I remember this one now, the boat. It was a very simple puzzle passed on from long ago. Let's try posing a question. On the right bank, there are 2 wolves and 2 sheep. There's a boat that as many as 2 animals can ride on, and using it, you have to move all 4 of them to the opposite left bank. That's the puzzle. There are 2 rules. The first is regarding the boat. Even a single wolf or a single sheep can paddle it, but it can only hold 2 animals. The second rule is regarding the wolves. When they are greater in number than the sheep in any location, they attack the sheep and it's game over. For example, at the start of the game, let's say the 2 sheep get in the boat and go to the other side. Then one sheep gets off and the other goes back to the first bank. When it does, there are 2 wolves on the first bank and a single sheep returns there. When that happens, the number of wolves is greater, so the sheep is attacked and it's game over. Yes, there are 2 sheep and 2 wolves on the bank. They are all gay. You are gay. The sheep and wolves are also inside you. It's a metaphor. You like the new emote? I'm glad, Pyropoyo. Thank Chesuto, who drew it on Twitter, and then I said, I really like that. Can I make it an emote? And they said yes. On either bank or even the boat, there must never be more wolves than sheep. And you've got to shuttle them all across under these conditions. By the way, the right answer is to move both wolves to the opposite bank in the first turn. Then 1 wolf comes back. On the second turn, you move 2 sheep to the opposite bank. Then 1 wolf comes back. Then on the third turn, you put that last wolf that was on the right bank on the boat and cross to the opposite bank, and congratulations, transport successful. Well, thanks for telling me the answer, Battler. I could have figured it out on my own, but you know. Partway, there may be the same number of wolves and sheep in the boat or on either side, but that isn't a problem. You only lose when the number of wolves is greater. This book uses wolves and sheep as an example, but lots of people probably know of this game using different characters. It looked like Maria wanted to test whether I too could solve the puzzle she knew how to solve. And she kept showing me different pages saying, solve this one, and this one's hard. So what was happening when Aunt Rosa first mentioned this puzzle? That's right. When we decided to go and get Jessica, we talked about how many men should go. And Aunt Rosa mentioned the wolves and sheep puzzle, saying we should all go together. So she thinks... So what Aunt Rosa probably thinks is that there's more than one wolf or killer. That could only mean one thing. Aunt Rosa was saying that there was a wolf among us. Post it. Post it right now. Post it in the chat room. That's my favorite Telltale game. There you go. Thank you. So was she thinking that we'd be safe if the number of wolves and sheep was in balance, but that the wolves could bear their fangs if the situation changed? At the time we found our parents' corpses, Aunt Rosa already suspected that the servants might be wolves. She'd sniffed out the possibility that, while she didn't know whether it was all of them or some of them, there were wolves hiding among them. That's no surprise. That murder scene was very elaborate. It's easy to imagine that there were multiple culprits. Put my reading glasses on. Well, you don't command me, but you do get to pay for it with channel points, so... it's not the same. And because she'd reached that conclusion when we went to Jessica's room, and learned that Jessica had been killed after being alone with a servant, Canon, it isn't hard to imagine why Aunt Rosa suspected the servants so persistently.
使用人の皆さん、郷田さんが食器を洗いに厨房に戻ります。念のためです。皆さんも同行してください。
Ah, she's playing the game even now, the wolf and sheep game. Keep all the servants together. That way you're not alone with them.
団体行動で参りましょう。
シャノ、熊沢、行くぞ。
はいはい、ただいま。
それではジョージさん、一度失礼いたします。
うん。気をつけて。
I sure hope nothing bad happens to Shadow.
あ、ローザおばさん。僕も一緒に行っていいかな。
ごめんなさい。ジョージ君は残ってくれるかしら。ちょっとお話ししたいことがあるの。
そうですか。シャノン、ごめん。とにかく気をつけて。一人にならないでね。
はい。
南條先生、すみません。ちょっとご相談が。
はい。
I guess Dr. Nanjo doesn't count as a servant. The servants put the dishes and empty cans on the serving cart and started to head out into the corridor. Behind them, Aunt Rosa was talking to Dr. Nanjo about something in a small voice.
わかりました。参りましょう。
ええ。よろしくお願いしますね。
Oh, never mind. He's going with them. Dr. Nanjo closed the book he had been reading, rose from the sofa, and followed after the servants. Aunt Rosa stuck her head out into the hallway, and after seeing that they were completely out of sight, she closed the door and spoke.
みんな聞いて。これで今ここにいるのは後宮の人間だけね。
ん？確かにそうなりますね。
Almost like she planned it that way. With that one sentence, Aunt Rosa's gaze grew sharp. Apparently, she had picked up on the sarcasm. She laughed lightly. You're a real smart cookie, Battler-kun.
バトラー、頭いい？これ解ける？ 64 ページの難しいの。
マリアは少しの間テレビを見ていなさい。
It's so funny. She says, I like smart kids. And then Maria says, hey, I could solve this puzzle. And she's like, no, shut up. Go watch TV.
ママはバトラ君たちとお話があるの。
Rose is such an awful bitch.
パズルの話
Not even in a fun way like Eva. I'd still give her the press, though.
用心深いのは悪いことじゃないと思うけど、 さすがに疑り深すぎるのもどうかと思うよ。
真の犯人がベアトリーチェかどうかは別にして、少なくとも使用人たちがその一味であることを疑うことはできると思う。
They're all in it together. They're all against us.
兄さんたちが殺されていた最初の殺人、とても残酷な仕打ちがされていたわよね。あれが一人でできる真似に見える。
謎の来客ベアトリーチェ様が夜鍋をして
She did have a lot of time.
ジェシカちゃんの部屋の扉をめぐるマスターキーの件は、使用人の誰かが関わっている証拠じゃない。
Only the master key could have locked the door to Jessica's room. So we can only suppose that one of the servants did it. No, wait.
チェス盤をひっくり返す
Yeah, spin the chessboard around. It's his favorite thing to say next to Zenzen Dameda.
なんで犯人はジェシカを殺した後わざわざ施錠したんだ。施錠すればマスターキーの持ち主が疑われるのは
Yeah, that
必然
means it. If they lock the door, that means the culprits are inherently narrowed down. Why would if the criminal is one of the people there, why would they why would they like narrow down the list of suspects? It makes them easier to find.
わざわざ施錠する必要がないぜ。
Locking the door narrows the list of
そうだよ。
suspects.
バトラ君の言う通りだ。
Because only certain people can lock and unlock that door.
わざわざ疑われるようなことをする理由がない。
それは面白い考えよね。もちろん私もそれは考
Of course I also thought that. Sure you did, Rosa.
だとしたら、施錠した人物は使用人を疑わせたくてマスターキーなしであの扉を閉めた。
Therefore, they probably wouldn't be a
で
servant.
もそれは不可能。
Unless they wanted us to think
Yes,
that was what they wanted us to think. Unless they wanted us to think that. That's right. If there existed some trick that could lock that door without a master key, that would make this a great disguise for casting doubt on the servants. If the culprit's goal was for us to isolate ourselves from the group so they could attack us one by one, this trick would also be effective at giving rise to paranoia. Yeah, Pyropoyo. They know everything we're gonna do, so I know everything we're gonna do. Strange, isn't it? Jessica did have a key, Hatsune Marvin, but it was inside the locked room. Yes, it was her bedroom, and we did find her key, but it was inside the room that was already locked, so it couldn't have been the one that locked it from the outside.
マスターキーを使わずに閉める方法がない。ルドルフ兄さんの言っていた悪魔の証明にな
Oh
るの。
god, the devil's proof.
私たちには想像もつかない方法で閉められたのかもしれない。私たちに思いつかないからといって、
I think Beatrice
未知の
said in the
ト
red
リックがある
speech
こ
that it
とを
was
否定することにはならない。
that there's no other way to lock that without a master key. Or
そりゃ
Jessica's
そうだけ
key.
どよ。つまりあれか疑わしきは黒ってわけなのか。
具体的なトリックはわからないけれど、それでも外角はわかるの。申し訳ないけど、カノン君を犯人だと仮定すると、非常に簡単に説明できる。死体がない理由までね。
But the easy explanations aren't always the true ones. I've played a ton of Ace Attorney. It's usually not the easy explanation, and in fact, the most convoluted one.
だってカノン君はマスターキーを持ってなかったんですよ。
Yeah, we proved that, because Jessica had it on her
他の
body.
使用人ならともかくカノン君にだけは施錠はできなかったはず。
なるほど。それでローザおばさんはジェシカの部屋に入って早々にローザおばさんこそ普段の様子から想像できるように
That's a very backhanded
頭の回転
compliment,
が
Battler.
早いな。
I respect it.
妹の頭の
Battler
回
can
転
talk
速度は
a little bit of game when he wants to. The brain speed of a little sister is always the big sister's minus what?
今は誰にも気を使う必要がないからせ。
What does that even mean? George Aniki realized she was referring to Aunt Eva, and seemed a little uncertain about how he should take that sarcasm, considering that was his mom.
僕にも わかるように説明してほしいな。カノン君のマスターキーはジェシカちゃんのポケットに入って密室に閉じ込められていた。施錠した後に部屋の外からポケットに入れるなんてゲートは不可能なはず。
違うんだよ兄貴。ローザおばさんの想像しているやり方ならこのトリック
Huh?
カノン君にしか使えな
Not.
い。
I'm not sure what he means.
そしてジェシカのポケットにマスターキーを入れたまま鍵なしで施錠することができる。そしてその結果として死体もなくなることになる。
どうやって、鍵なしでどうやって施錠するんだい？
Very mysterious.
簡単よ。ジョージ君だって帰宅したら施錠するでしょ。つまみをひねってカチリとね。
まさか。いやでもカノン君の姿はどこにも。
兄貴にもピンときたみてえだな。
Huh?
ローザおばさんが室内を探したのはそういうことだ。内側から鍵を閉めジェシカのポケットに鍵を突っ込ん
I
だカノン
see.
君が。
If she was hoping Canon was like hiding himself to make it look like someone else had locked the door.
どこかに隠れて俺たちをやり過ごそうとしているのを探したんだ。
It was the simplest kind of closed room trick. It meant him hiding inside the closed room after the murder was committed. Then, all he had to do was get out after those who discovered the body left, and the closed room murder would work perfectly.
私たちはあの部屋
But
を探
Canon
し
was
たけ
nowhere
ど
to be found.
何も見つけられなかった。でもだからといってあの部屋に使用人たちしか知らない
No,
秘密の
please.
隠し通路のようなものがないとは
Now
言え
you're
ない。
reaching.
それがどこに隠されていたかはわからないけれど、その隠し通路を仮定し推理することで彼しかありえないと断言できるのよ。
その推理はよ、
Oh, okay, we're back in the debate dimension.
俺も一番最初に考えた。
That's true. It is a house made and designed by Kenzo. It is highly likely there could be some bullshit secret passage. But I don't think there would be one in Jessica's room. Like, we already confirmed in the first episode there isn't even one in his study, which is the most likely place there would be. I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out there's a secret passage somewhere, though.
カノンはこの部屋で殺されたであろう。そ
Yeah.
なたはカノンが犯人であると疑いそうになったため、真っ先にその可能性を潰すためにこれを復唱させたのだ。分かっておる分かっておる。
だからその次に考えたのはこうだった。あの部屋にいたのは実は3人だったという説だ。ジェシカとカノン君は被害者、そして犯人である来客ベアトリーチェも一緒にいたという考えだ。
そなたは人間であるわらわが
Right.
魔法を使わずに犯行を行ったことにしたいのだったな。なるほど。そなたにぴったりの親切であるぞ。
Right, he wants to say it's Beatrice without saying she used magic.
お前は2人を殺し内側から施錠した。そしてカノン君の死体を担いで普通の人は気づかない秘密の方法、つまり隠し扉を使って部屋から脱出したんだと読んだ。
Everybody loves their secret doors.
しかしお前に赤で言われちまった。あの部屋に隠し扉の類が
Yeah,
ないって。
yeah, I thought I recalled her saying something like that.
うん。お前たちの知らない秘密の通路は存在せぬぞ。ノックスだったかバンダインだったか。何でもミステリーには秘密の通路があってはいけないらしい。
Yeah, I think that's like one of the rules of like there's like I also forget who wrote it. Maybe it was Van Dyne who wrote like the rules of mystery fiction. And one of them was that like yeah, it was Knox, okay. And one of them was that like you can't use any cop-outs like a secret passage in a locked room mystery. That's just unsatisfying.
そのお作法にわらわも従ったということよ。
Knox will be brought up
つ
a
ま
couple
り
times,
名
of
探
course.
偵は 部屋を調べ尽くさずして隠し通路がないと断言できるわけだ。
Oh, it was both Nox's 10 Commandments and Van Dyne's 20 Rules. I must have been thinking of Van Dyne's 20 Rules then. Yeah, I bet they'll bring up Nox a lot. I mean, this whole setup here is kind of a slight satirization of the mystery novel. You know, like there's been like 50 closed room mysteries.
人間の推理ごっことはなんとお気楽なものよな。
クソ。でけえこと言いやがるぜ。
Those like commandments and rules are all just stuff like, if you put this in your mystery novel, it's like a cop-out. The readers won't like it. It's unsatisfying.
ありがとよ。
Yeah, I remember stuff like servants can't be the culprit in Van Dyne's. I think it's just because at the time he wrote it, stuff like the butler did it was so common that everybody expected it at that point. But yeah, Nox's were more like practical things like you should follow these commandments if you want your reader to be able to figure out the mystery on their own, potentially.
この部屋に隠し扉はない。扉と窓以外に出入りする方法はない。
ってことはよ、今ローザおばさんがぶってる自信満々の仮説は間違ってるってわけだ。しかも悔しいことにこの仮説は反証不能だ。
Yeah, I do remember one of Nox's commandments being like no racial caricatures. That might be a case of just saying the right thing for the wrong reason because those were always the bad guys, right? It's one of those things like, oh, everybody expects the racist caricature to be the killer.
しかし人間の俺はローザおばさんにそれを反論しても受け入れられないだろう。隠し扉がないことを人間は証明できない。
Automod doesn't like that one, Hatsune Marvin. I also don't like it. Let's try and phrase that one a little differently in the chat room that everybody can see.
悪魔の証明になっちまう。
Yeah, this is a tough one, because, like, I'm gonna call this, what did I call this the last time? The debate dimension? The over-narrative? I call it the over-narrative. Like, it's easy enough to say in this side of things, like, Beatrice said it in red, so it must not be the case. But then in the actual narrative, like, obviously that wouldn't make any sense. Right? I'm not gonna call it the metaverse. That's silly. Who would call something the metaverse?
あるかないかもわからない隠し扉を理由にカノン君を犯人呼ばわりするなんて僕は納得できないな。
納得できないならより納得できる推理を聞かせて。ないの。
It's fine, Hatsune Marvin. Just be more
私
careful.
はずっと考えてる。これしかないのよ。
There's no other option but a silly secret passage.
ジョージ君はシャノンちゃんと仲が良かったわね。だから使用人全員が犯人であることは受け入れがたいと思うの。私もシャノンちゃんが犯人の一味であるなんて信じたくない。
I don't know about that. I think you do kind of want to believe it.
全員であるか否かはともかく。 確実にあの中に犯人もしくは共犯がいるのよ。それだけは見誤っちゃダメ。
カノン君以外にも狼がいると見てたんだ。ジェシカの部屋で犯人はカノン君だと大騒ぎした。使用人たちの反応を見ると
Aunt Rosa does seem to have planned this out fairly far ahead.
そしてその結果、私は一層の疑いを持つに至った。確実に。
I don't understand how their reaction made you suspect them more. It seemed to be the natural reaction to having a gun pointed at you. I mean, that wouldn't be my reaction. I would be very cool and disarm her immediately. But for normal people who are not as cool and beautiful.
ジェシカちゃんは一人で船に乗った羊よ。あのパズルでは頭数の時は襲ってこないけど、私たちのパズルは違う。チャンスと人数次第なら頭数でも襲ってくる。ジェシカちゃんが殺されたように。
僕は怒りたいことがある。
You can't just say how you feel. That makes me angry.
じゃあ厨房へ行かされてるシャノンは危険な状態じゃないか。今すぐ僕たちも厨房へ行くべきだ。誰が狼だろうと狼でなかろうと、僕たち全員が揃っていれば均衡するならそれを保ち続けるべきだと思う。
Well, no, she considers Shannon a wolf too, so all the wolves are together, so it's fine.
シャノンちゃんはお父様のところへ源氏さんと一緒に行った。その時に孤立したはずなのに殺されなかった。源氏さんも狼ではないから。違う。
She thinks they're all in league.
二人とも狼だったから。
Yeah.
シャノンは悪事の片棒を担ぐような人じゃない。いくらローザおばさんでもそれは聞き流せません。
I must defend my wife's honor.
今の発言に対し僕は取り消しを要求し
Versioning
ます。
wife guy George Ushiromiya.
兄貴の前で悪いが、その論法エヴァおばさんの雰囲気にそっくりだな。
I know, suddenly you're horribly ruthless,
こ
Rosa.
っちが反論できなきゃ自動的に自分が正しいみたいな。やっぱり血は争えないなおばさん。
Owned.
私だって今の自分はあまり褒められたものじゃないとは思ってる。でもね、私は母なの。
Oh, now you care about your
マリ
kid.
アの無事を守るためなら鬼にもなるわ。
Hey, Natsuhi said the same thing.
本当ならマリアと二人き
I
りで
wonder
ど
if
こかに
this
閉
is
じこ
some
もって
sort
い
of
たいくらいよ。
theme.
でも私は同時にあなたたちの母でもあるつもりなの。今やあなたたちは私の子供も同然。私は自分の子じゃないからといってあなたたちを見捨てたりしない。絶対。
そりゃどうも。
私はあなたたちの母として
It's a good point, Natsuhi.
油断しないでと警告
Is
し
she
たか
gonna
っただ
start
けなの。
slapping Battler around because she considers him her kid now?
常に私の目の届くところにいて
She does it enough to Maria.
私があなたたちを守ってあげる。
ついでに俺たちが狼でないことも監視してくれるってわけだ。そりゃありがたいぜ。
Hello to you,
そういう
Diamond.
おばさんは
Right now, it's kind of a lot of
自分が
arguing back
狼
and
ではないっ
forth.
て証明はでき
They
る。
talked about the wolf and sheep puzzle a lot. We mentioned Nox and Van Dyne, you know, the usual stuff.
ええ、できるわ。
即答っすね。どうやって？
これよ。これが証拠よ。
I've got a gun! Aunt La Rosa lifted her gun and pointed the barrel at me. It was only for an instant. She's having a great time with that thing. I think the power rush is getting to her a little bit. She immediately lowered the gun, laughing impishly, but to me, the time I spent staring down the barrel of that gun felt like an eternity.
その銃がどうローザおばさんが犯人でないことを
If
証
anything,
明
it
する
makes
と
you
いうん
seem
ですか。
more culpritish.
考えてもみて。私が犯人だったらどう？使用人たちが出ていたこの千載一遇の機会を逃すと思う。あなたたちをズドンと撃って、あとは適当な言い訳をするだ
Oh,
け。
okay, I guess that does make sense.
窓の外にベアトリーチェが現れて銃を撃ってきたとかね。
I'm imagining Beatrice just holding that gun now. It's very funny.
私は2発を撃ち返したと称して2発分の空薬莢を床に捨てればいい。
そりゃすげえ乱暴な理論だが、確かに一理あるぜ。
クラウス兄
Check
さ
out
ん
my
も
magic
よく
wand,
言ってた。
Battler. Bam, bam.
力こそ正義ってね。
That does sound like something Kraus would say.
ごめんなさいね、2人とも。私も今朝からの事件続きでかなり冷静さを失って
There
る。
were a lot of crimes.
普段の私を知る2人から見れば
At least 8
今
so
の私は
far.
余裕がなくて少し短気そうに見えるかもしれない。でも分かってる。 私は悪意ある犯人からあなたたちを守りたい。
Innocent bystander, thanks for the resub. Hello. Now you can have fun with our wonderful new emote.
そのためには鬼になる。それだけのことなの。怒らせるようなことを言ってごめんなさいね。バトラ君、ジョージ君、仲直りしましょう。
An unsatisfied expression rose to George Oniki's face. He probably couldn't forgive the damage done to Shannon's honor. My waifu! What about me? Several bits of circumstantial evidence hinted at the servants' participation. I didn't want to believe that one of them was the culprit, or possibly colluding with the culprit. But in our current situation, that was little more than wishful thinking. Whom should I believe? In the first place, who is the culprit? Are there accomplices? And if so, how many? It seems I've only been suspecting the people we know. Quickly forgot that the 19th person, the guest, Beatrice, who arrived yesterday and boldly claimed to be the Golden Witch. In fact, I still haven't seen her face. I heard she greatly resembled the witch in that portrait. But since I haven't seen her directly, no matter how hard I try, it doesn't really feel to me like a 19th person is on this island. So I've been subconsciously hallucinating that the culprit's one of the 18. Damn it. Come out, Beatrice. If you're the bad guy, then act like the bad guy and show yourself, laughing in a high-pitched voice and mocking us. She does that a lot. It's true. She does like laughing in a voice and high-pitched voice and mocking you. She's just like me, for real. Just like a bad guy in one of those dramas who, even when they're exposed as the culprit, aggressively says, "Where's your proof?" Yeah, there she is. She's doing it right now.
証拠は終わりかな。
うっせえ。てめえはしばらく黙ったら。
That's funny. That kind of definitively proves to me that the battler in the debate dimension is not the same as the battler in the actual narrative. Or at least he doesn't know what the other battler knows. There were 5 humans in the kitchen, but it was very quiet, filled only with the sound of rain. It was only accented by the sound of Shannon and Kumasawa washing the dishes. Goda was using the leftovers from breakfast and lunch as ingredients for a soup. Rosa had suspected that poison might have been added to the food, so they decided to eat canned goods, but it hadn't been too satisfying. But Goda thought she was being too cautious, so he was spontaneously creating a soup to be served only to those who wanted some. Shannon and Kumasawa were washing the dishes that the food had been arranged on. On the inside, they thought maybe Goda should wash them since he'd been the one who'd wanted the food arranged on plates in the first place. But they left their complaints unsaid for the time being. Genji and Nanjo were facing each other across a crude chess set that had many years of experience. The game had still only just begun, and because of the opening game these experienced players had been known to perfection, it looked like a ceremony where they just moved specific pieces in a specified order.
良い匂いですね。やはり缶詰ではこうはいきません
They're
ね。
so used to the opening moves that they just do them on autopilot and wait for the game to get interesting.
開封した食材だけで作りましたので、毒が混入しているなんてことはありませんよ。皆さんの分もお作りしていますので。
One of the ingredients is beef jerky.
もちろん、私もお毒味しますよ。安心して召し上がってください。
本当にいい匂いですね。ゴーダさんのまかない料理は本当に美味しいです。
美味しい材料を買ってきて、美味しい料理が作れるのは当たり前です。
I mean...
私は師匠に、あり合わせのもので美味しく作るまかない料理を
Okay, he's just being full of himself again. Goda's so full of shit.
それはいい師匠でしたな。おかげで私はとても美味しいスープをごちそうになれそうです。親族の皆様にお召し上がりいただくための材料で作ることになってしまったのは残念。ローザさんも朝からの
Well, not all of the family members are able to eat anymore, so it's fine.
無理もないことです。
They've gone to a better place.
でもそのおかげで美味しい食材のスープが飲めるのですからね。
Kumasawa brings up a good grammatical question. Do you eat soup or drink soup? Or both? Like the part where you're actually like spooning it into your mouth, is that eating? And then like if there's leftover broth, is that drinking? Absorb soup? I feel like that makes it weird have a weird connotation. Rosa had fervently warned everyone that they didn't understand the danger they were in, and that they must assume that poison was mixed in with the food. The mood at the time had led them to agree, but hunger wasn't something that could be swayed by a momentary emotion like that. If it's tomato soup, it's drink. If chicken noodle, eat. That's interesting. What if you do that thing where like you make a cheese sandwich and you dip it in the tomato soup? What then? Actually, that sounds really good. I could go for that. Right
ローザ様のご指示に背いている以上、よした方がいいだろう。
Then if you dip a cheese sandwich in the tomato soup, then the soup is a condiment. Then it's a dip, like au jus for roast beef sandwiches.
見えないところで上手に息抜きするのも使用人のこ
I
と
like your
で
way of
ござい
thinking.
ますものね。
Yeah, soup is truly the most versatile of foods, isn't it? Or drinks. It's either a food or a drink, or a condiment or a dip. When Kumasawa cackled, Shannon and Goda laughed too. It seemed that in this space where only their fellow servants would gather, they could relax quite a bit. Shannon didn't like Goda's occasional dishonesty, but she knew that there was no falsehood in his childish smile when he cooked, nor in his desire for people to enjoy his food. So even though it was a little aggravating to be made to wash the dishes, she couldn't really hate him. However, they couldn't have dreamed that Rosa was calling them wolves in the parlor at exactly the same moment they were spending their time peacefully like this. Oh, it cut out. At that time, several of the servants heard a sound that sounded like something being dragged, and then a thump. It seemed like the sound made by a servant outside the back door when they were carrying a mountain of trash bags on a rainy day. Or maybe when a servant was returning from work wearing a trench coat. Or a raincoat, sorry. I don't know where I got trench coat. I was thinking of Columba. But that's interesting. Everyone alive is gathered here. So at first, the sound didn't seem like anything out of the ordinary. Well, now there's Kinzo. Kinzo's still in his study. Is it Kinzo? But they soon realized. Right now, everyone was either in the kitchen or in the parlor. So who could possibly be at the back door? As the servants all looked at each other, they checked to make sure that each one of them knew what that sound meant. Ooh, spooky! The servants knew that the mansion's layout well, so they understood how incomprehensible it would be for someone from the parlor to actually go outside in this typhoon, go all the way around, and come up to this back door. When, then, was it Kinzo? That couldn't imagine that Kinzo, who never left his study, would dash out in the middle of this typhoon and come to the back of the house, where only low-class people ever entered or exited.
気のせいじゃないですよね。
Shannon and Kumasawa drew close together, fiercely looking at the back door.
どちら様ですか?
As Goda fearfully approached the back door, he called out, and his eyes flashed towards the butcher's knife that sat in a nearby sink. He didn't pick it up yet, because there was still a possibility that this was a member of the family. However, that possibility was impossible. There was no response from across the door to Goda's initial question. Maybe his voice had been so quiet that it hadn't reached all the wind and rain outside.
Genji-san.
Gato TV, thank you for following. Welcome to the Rose Rabbit Army, and welcome to Eternal Servants who tip me, Daihime-sama. We're reading Umineko, so please sit back and enjoy. I'll put you to work later. You have to protect the women and this old man. Genji took a knife with a classical design from a stationary box placed near the chess set. It was something to be used instead of a paper knife to open envelopes for statements of deliveries and bills. But it was still a knife, so the blade on it could injure someone. Genji hid it in his sleeve with a well-practiced motion. Genji, do you play Assassin's Creed? Then he approached the back door himself, giving Goda a silent nod. Goda cautiously approached the back door and slowly started to open it. Ooh, ooh. The shadow of a person suddenly shuffled into sight, landed on its knees, and fell over. Goda fell backwards onto his backside and couldn't get up. The human shadow was soaked with rain, smeared with mud, and drenched with blood.
Kanon? 大丈夫か? Nanjo says.
Oh no, that dude's dead as fuck. Beatrice killed him earlier. It was Kanon. His breath was feeble. Wait, what? Wait, hang on. Why? What? Huh? What? If you weren't here last time, Kanon died, and then Beatrice erased his body. But then again, I did say like a minute later, because this involved an energy sword fight, I don't trust any perspective that isn't Battler's, so I guess I'm proving myself correct with that thinking. Maybe? His breath was feeble, and the puddles of mud he left were quickly drenched bright red. When Nanjo held him and turned him face up, there was a deep, gruesome wound right in the center of his chest, as though he'd been stabbed there by a spear or something. Dia Diamond, that is a fantastic question. I have no idea what is or isn't real at this very moment regarding weird things like that. Even now, deep red blood poured from there. Griffith from Berserk, thanks for the resub. Now you can enjoy our new Tier 1 emote. Please enjoy.
これはひどいですよ。どうしましょう。救急箱ですか？救急箱ですか？
カノンさん、傷口に手を当ててしっかり押さえてください。使用人室のベッドに運びましょう。皆さん、手を貸してください。
さあ、カノンさん、しばらく我慢してください。
I think episode 2 has done a better job making Goda a more compelling character. I mean, it was hard to make him compelling in the first episode because he got right away. But I do like that they're kind of emphasizing, you know, he's an asshole, he's a dick, but he doesn't want to, like, he's not okay with people dying.
大丈夫よ。だから傷口から手を離さないで。
とにかく使用人室へ運ぼう。熊沢ローザ様にカノンが見つかったことを。
Hey, you know, I just thought of something. Is this the first time, like... No, wait, no, never mind. Kanon and Shannon were in the same room earlier.
待って、ローザ様にはダメ。
待ってください。カノンさんがローザ様にはダメだと言っています。
Oh, now I bet they suspect Rosa, right?
どういう意味なの、カノン君。
今はいい。早く使用人室へ運ぼう。熊沢、ローザ様にはまだお伝えする。カノンに事情を聞いてからです。
はい。
I love the sounds Kumasawa makes. He had told them not to tell Rosa right after appearing in this state. This could only mean something very disquieting. An eerie anxiety rose to their faces.
さあ皆さん、急いで運びましょう。早く。
The PowerPoint transitions means we're moving. Kanon's wound was unbelievably deep, and judging from Nanjo's pale face, it was a miracle that he was still conscious.
これはひどい。何か槍のようなもので刺されたようです。
Right, yeah.
肺まで届いてなければなんとか持つかも。とにかく止血を。
Good evening, Griffith from Berserk. Oh, Kanon's not doing great. No matter how much Nanjo tried to wipe off that gushing deep red blood, he couldn't do it, he couldn't wipe it all away. And each time, the wound was aggravated, causing Kanon to cry in anguish.
カノン君、しっかりして。
南條先生、替えのタオルです。なんてむごい。
容体はどうですか？
It's not looking good.
本音を言うと生きているのが信じられん不可
Yeah,
だ。
this is not looking good for poor old Canon-kun.
刺されどころが幸運だったのかもしれん。だが出血がひどすぎる。輸血が必要だが明日まで無理だ。
ローザ様が僕たちを
喋らないで。
No, he should probably talk while he can.
傷口が開いちゃ
ローザ様がやってきて
Huh?
お嬢様と僕は
なんですって。
ローザ様がですか。おおおお、そんなことってそんなことって。
Interesting. How is this going? What? I'm confused.
間違いないのか？
はい間違いなくローザ様でした。
さあ、もう喋らないで。
How is Beatrice managing this one?
熊沢さん、もう一つの救急箱を取ってください。
源氏さん、ローザ様がなんてことはあり得るのでしょうか。
わからん。
Disregarding Nanjo and Kumasawa, who were struggling hard and stained with blood as they tried to stop the bleeding, Genji and Goda faced each other. Because if what Kanon had said was the truth, Rosa was the culprit who killed Jessica.
ローザめ
Onore!
よくもお嬢様を殺してやる。
Doesn't seem to be working. That doesn't seem to be working out for him. Kanon screamed even more hatefully. His hate-filled voice made it seem like he was seeing Jessica being harmed right before his eyes.
確かにローザ様がお嬢様を殺す理由はあるかもしれない。
What reason was
む
that?
しろ宮家が全滅すれば遺産は
Oh,
全
yeah,
て
that's
ロ
true.
ーザ様のもの。
Even now, Jessica would still be ahead of her.
だとしたらバトラ様やジョージ様も危険なのでは。ローザ様は銃を持っている上に今客間には彼らしかいない。源氏さん、これはかなりまずいことでは。
Shannon suddenly ran out into the corridor. Her expression was complex and tragic, as though she didn't know what to believe. Shannon, it's bad idea to be alone. Shannon ran. To where? The inside of the mansion had been scrupulously cleaned, so it probably wouldn't be easy to find. She might find it if she searched the rose garden, but they'd probably all been lost in this wind and rain. That's right. The boiler room isn't cleaned very often. If she went there, she might be able to find it. Shannon ran downstairs to find that in the underground boiler room. Oh, is it a weapon, maybe? To fight Rosa with? Did some medicine take effect at the brink of death? Or was Canon finally beyond feeling pain? For the time being, at least, Canon's painful gasping had subsided. Another shotgun? There's two. Two? Nanjo apparently didn't view this as a very good sign, and he didn't let his eyes off Kanon for a second. Kumasawa firmly gripped Kanon's hand and kept encouraging him, so that the willpower keeping him alive didn't fade away. Genji and Goda seemed uncertain how to respond to the truth Kanon had risked his life to deliver. Yeah, if I use that, then maybe there's a chance.
決して少ない数ではないですね。でもあの銃は弾の装填に結構な慣れが必要だったはず。一発目は撃たせてしまうかもしれませんが、みんなで襲いかかれば次を撃たせずに銃を奪い取れるかも。
この島には医者はいても薬はなく、病院もない。撃たれどころが悪ければ死ぬぞ。
それは分かっていますが、それより早く行動を起こさないとまた次の事件が起こる可能性も。私たちは ローザ様にうまく追い出された気がします。
Don't worry about it, Griffith from Berserk. You're
ジョー
not.
ジ様やバトロ様が殺
Is
され
there
ている可能
requirement to
性
be
も
constantly chatting? That would be silly.
そんな危険な相手なら無理に刺激しない方がいいん
We
じゃあり
gotta,
ません
we
か。
gotta protect the children's.
しかし明日までは長い。どんな手を打ってくるか想像もつきませんよ。
Goda seems surprisingly insistent about this.
源氏さん、こちらから仕掛けるべきです。
Like, I wouldn't think it would be in his character to be like, we gotta save him.
せめて10歳理由をこじつけて奪えばなんとかなるかも。
I wouldn't think that would be in his character.
弾は4、5発じゃありませんか。ということは私たち全員を殺すには
She can't get
足
us
りない
all.
ということです。
Just you.
うかつに刺激しなければきっとローザ様もむやみには。
あいつは言ったよ。
Oh,
僕たちを皆殺しにすると言った。
Rosa said that, did she? This all seems very suspicious to me. Canon, who they'd thought was sleeping quietly, suddenly started talking brightly, almost as though he'd been awake this whole time and had suddenly opened his mouth. Canon looked firm and steady, which relieved Nanjo a bit, but considering the depths of that wound, he couldn't wipe away a certain creepy feeling. He knew because he was a doctor. After losing so much blood, Canon might easily have lost consciousness, and yet somehow he was still intensely aware of his surroundings. Was it youth, or was it tenacity? Sometimes the power of human life surpassed common knowledge. While stopping the bleeding, Nanjo had groped around a bit inside the bleeding hole with tweezers, making sure there was no foreign objects inside the afflicted area, and the great depths of the wound had shocked him. It had certainly reached as far as his lungs. Ugh. And yet, no, but the fact that he's still alive is wonderful. But Canon had spoken clearly. He'd hatefully stated that the one named Rosa made this wound, cursing and raging over and over and over. Oh yeah.
あいつは親方様の財産を
That's not canon.
台風が過ぎ去るまでにどんな手を使ってでも
That's not our boy.
くそ、なんて人だ。
I don't think that's our boy.
源氏さん、どうしましょう。私たちにも何か武器がいるのでは。
にわかには信じられん。
I know he is an imposter. He do be looking kinda sus.
ローザ様がそのようなことを。
源氏様、信じる信じないじゃない。あいつが僕に、そうこの僕が聞いたんです。どうして信じてくれないん
What?
ですか？
Hey, Canon, why do your eyes make that noise every time you open them? Don't worry about that.
起きないで。傷に触ります。
Canon sat up on the bed, speaking to Genji, who didn't seem to be willing to believe Canon's story.
あいつは僕たちを必ず全員殺す。もうきっと客間の方々も
Yeah, they're all
殺され
dead.
ているに違いは
We didn't hear a single gunshot, but they're all dead for
僕
sure.
らが先に殺さなければ必ず僕らが先に殺される。
Genji, it's kill or be killed.
僕が先に殺
No
さ
more
れ
heroes.
る。みんなが先に殺される。殺さなきゃ殺される。
Oh, he said it.
殺さなきゃ殺される。殺さなきゃ殺される。
カンナさん、あんた
Yeah, wait, he said he's already dead.
本当に痛くないのか。
ああ、これですか。大した傷じゃありません。
I think it's something.
大した傷じゃない
It is a big hole in your chest, little boy.
本当に大したことありません。こんなのもう全然痛くないし、本当に大した傷じゃない。
As Canon said that, he began to untie the bandages that had been painstakingly wrapped. The gruesome hole in his chest was immediately exposed. Ugh.
さん、
Gross.
そんなことをしてはダメですよ。早く横になって。
大丈夫ですって。 ほら、ね、大した傷じゃないでしょ。
No, no, it's really not. Canon showed off his gaping wound, which was still all slowly spitting out a foamy blood. Ew. I've never thought of foamy blood. Different from melty blood. Everyone averted their eyes reflexively.
ほら、全然大した傷じゃないですって。
やめなさい。傷をいじってはいけません。
ほら、見て。全然深い傷じゃないんですよ。ほら。ほら。
Ew. Cannons held up 2 fingers, showed them to everyone, and slowly started to stick them into the gruesome wound in the center of his chest. Plunging, slimy, squishy, wet, the fingers went in deep, all the way to their bases. Ew. That is not usually the kind of hole I like to put fingers in. Those fingers were sticking all the way into his chest up to their bases. And then he slowly pulled them out in exactly the same way. The fingers he pulled out were stained a sticky, solid, deep red color, and there were even a thread hanging. The fingers were covered up to their bases in deep red. When's melty next? I don't know. When I next get the craving for it, I suppose. Is this the original art? Yes, Coda, it is. At that moment, the door was slammed open and Shannon appeared. Even after she saw Canon stained with fresh blood, her impregnable expression didn't falter.
どこへ行っていたの？僕が既得だというのに、一体どこへ？
ボイラー室に行ってきたの。探し物があって。それより確かめたいの。あなたは本当にカノン君。
Signs point to no. It was only natural. Everyone believed he was Canon, so they couldn't understand the meaning of Shannon's question. When they looked, they noticed that Shannon was holding a handkerchief in her hand. It was filthy and looked like it had been used to wipe up some trash or dust. And while holding that, she approached Canon, drawing closer to his feet. It's a surprise tool that will help us later.
雲の巣を拭き取ったハンカチよ。
なんでそんなもの？
カノン君なら平気だろうけど、もしあなたにとって雲が天敵だったなら嫌うかなって思って。
What? Huh?
やだな。
Spiders?
僕がどうして雲を嫌うの？
ごめん、試すね。
シャノンさん。
When Shannon brought the handkerchief close to Canon's thigh, something happened in an instant. It happened all at once. The human eye couldn't have followed it. Canon jumped like a wild goat, fleeing from the thing Shannon was holding. Then, from his arms, some kind of afterglow flashed purple and drew a curve through space. That arc, which drew 3 beautiful purple curves, traced across the throats of Nanjo and Kumasawa, who had been tending to him. And in an instant, Nanjo and Kumasawa's throats opened like gaping wounds, and then the blood really started spewing out. Yeah, I guess it's one of the goats. The third purple curve should have traced across Shannon's throat, but Shannon wasn't there, because Genji, who had been behind her, had wrapped his own arm around Shannon's neck and pulled her back. This all happened in an instant. In the instant it took Go to think fast in an attempt to understand the scene, the frozen moment in time shattered. Oh, there they go! Blood was gushing from Nanjo and Kumasawa's torn open necks. Canon jumped and kicked off a picture frame that had been hanging from the wall behind him, springing forward just like a cat and aiming for Shannon's throat again. But Canon's target once again disappeared from in front of him. because Genji had pulled Shannon again, and the two of them had fallen onto the ground in a defensive crouch. Is Genji gonna anime fight now? Get his ass, Goda. Even Goda was no fool. Even if he couldn't fully understand what was going on, he at least realized that if this cannon wasn't seized, his own life would also be in peril. Yeah, I want to see Genji use an energy sword. He sprung at Cannon with his huge body, pushing him up against the wall with all his weight and physical strength. Go Goda. Goda the big hero now. Another purple curve was drawn from the tips of the fingers on Cannon's right hand. And when he raised that hand like a sword, aiming for Goda's back, there was a loud thunk. Because Cannon's raised hand had been pinned to the wall, he couldn't tear his palm away from the wall. Sticking out from it was the knife Genji had thrown. Yo! Like, he threw it like a kunai? Under normal circumstances, it would have been surprising to see someone as old as Genji handle a knife so skillfully. But in this abnormal space, no one paid it much mind. Genji took the handkerchief with the spider web stuck to it from Cannon, and he approached Cannon, who was pinned to the wall by Goda's massive body and the knife. What the hell is going on? Is Genji a ninja in the fighting game? I have no idea if he's even playable in the fighting game. That would be raw, though. When Genji pushed the handkerchief up against Cannon's face, there was a sound just like setting meat on a red-hot iron plate. Of course, the smell was the same, too. As he was horribly burned, festering in filthy red and black, and crying out in his death throes, Cannon's body burst open and scattered. Oh, I see. Spiders eat butterflies. It was almost as though a balloon filled with gold leaf had popped. The entire servant room was completely buried under a storm of gold leaf. No, a cloud of gold butterflies. Those butterflies began to softly fade as though into water, or rather, into the empty air itself. And afterwards, all that was left was the 3 survivors sitting on their butts, stained with blood. However, not everyone was merely stained with blood. Some of them were lying on the ground, spurting out blood themselves. Slits so sharp they looked like they'd cut your finger if you touched them open wide, and large amounts of blood kept pouring out. I have no idea either, Goda. That's a great question. Goda looked at his own hand. The bright red blood left from his scuffle with Cannon definitely remained. And yet, Cannon was nowhere to be seen. Because he had disappeared. He had transformed into gold butterflies and scattered. Goda kept screaming alone without a clue what was going on. Shannon sobbed in front of Nanjo's and Kumasawa's remains, as Genji watched over her, silent and as always. Oh, okay, I think it's curious that Beatrice and Battler don't comment on the scenes like that, where, like, there's energy swords. Ah, it's big. Once again, I don't trust any scene that doesn't involve Battler's perspective.
南條先生と熊沢さんが一体どういうことなの？
シャノン、無事でよかった。 君に何かあったら僕は。
庄司様。
ジョージ様。
ジョージ君、少し静かにして。
Shut up, George.
あなたたちの目の前で殺人が行われたんでしょ。犯人を見たの？見ないの？
それが何と説明すればいいのか。
Yeah, it was all kind of insane.
源氏さん、
私たちに見たものをうまく説明できません。
確かにそれは私たち
It
の目の
was the
前で
thing
起こ
that
りま
we
した。
saw.
私の目の前にいた。だけれどあれは何だったんだ。私にもわからないんです。
何を言ってるの？あなたが出会ったのは昨夜から所在不明の魔女ベアトリ。行方不明になっているカノン君かのどちらかしかありえない。男か女か、それだけでも答えられるでしょう。
ローザおばさん、少し落ち着けって。
Aunt Rosa, stop being a raging bitch for a minute.
目の前で2人やられりゃ誰だって混乱だってする。ゴダさん、源氏さん、焦らなくていいぜ。何
Just
があっ
take
た
your
のか
time.
順を追って話してくれ。
それ
I like this
が
song.
何を私は言えばいいのか。
Dr. Nanjo and Kumasawa-san had been killed. We understood that much. And it seemed that it occurred in front of these people's eyes. But even so, they spoke awkwardly. They admitted that they had definitely seen the crime with their own eyes. But when asked to explain what they had seen, their mouths went suddenly shut. I can understand why Aunt Rosa was irritated and flaring up.
シャン、君は見たのか？南條先生が襲われるところ。
はい。
Hi.
僕に教えて。分かることだけでもいい。一体何があったの？
勝手口に来たんです。
そうです。
That is certainly what happened.
勝手口に誰かがやってきたんです。そして
Well, I named this stream Energy Sword Monday as a joke. I'm glad it was justified. We did get an energy sword.
勝手口に誰か？それは誰？
最後まで言わせてやれ。それから
そいつは血まみれで大怪我をしていました。私たちは使用右室に運び、すぐに南條先生が手当てをしました。とても深い傷でした。
だからそれは誰のことなの？
わからないんです。確かに最初はそうだと思っていました。いや、今でもそうだと思ってるんです。でもあれは一体わからない。わからない。
In a manner that didn't match his large body, Goda held his head and scratched at it. I didn't have a clue if he was confused because he couldn't remember, or because he'd seen something terrifying and couldn't accept it. A little bit of both. Mostly the second one. And Shannon looked the same way. If she let her guard down, what she'd seen just a short while ago would quickly melt away like a daydream. And she wouldn't be able to remember anything. That was what she looked like. Only Genji looked composed as usual, so the questions were naturally directed at him. However, even Genji took quite some time before he spoke, and he had to gather his thoughts.
源氏さん、あなたは見たんでしょ？勝手口に来たのは誰？
はじめ、私たちはその人物がカノンであると信じました。
ほら、やっぱり生きていたでしょ？私の推理は正しかった。
I'm right!
はじめはってことは、後にその認識は変わるって
It
こと？
was a skinwalker or something.
はい。その後に起こったことは口では説明できません。南條先生と熊沢を殺し、そして姿を消しました。その時、彼は間違いなくカノンではありませんでした。
そうなんです。源氏さんの言う通りなんですよ。口ではとても説明できない。
It was kind of insane.
同じ意見なのかい？
This dude was doing like wall flips and stuff.
私も同じことしか申し上げられません。
If we gave their claims the benefit of the doubt, it means that Aunt Rosa's first conclusion was correct. Cannon had appeared near the back... Excuse me. I swallowed and went down the wrong pipe. Cannon had appeared near the back door to the kitchen with a serious injury. Then he had been taken to the servant room and cared for. And after that, something terrifying had happened. So were these people so convinced that Kanon-kun couldn't possibly have done such a thing, that they'd started to suspect whether it had ever been Kanon-kun at all? In other words, that meant Kanon-kun did appear. No matter how confused they are, no matter how they muddle their words, that's what it means in the end. So does that mean that, after all, Kanon-kun used some trick to escape that room even though it was locked? No, that doesn't matter anymore. The real problem is that Dr. Nanjo and Kumasawa-san were killed. Aunt Rosa had claimed that Kanon-kun was behind this from the very beginning. No matter how confused these people are, no matter how much they try to deny it, they're halfway confirming that she was right. But even so, for some reason, I felt like their awkwardness couldn't be explained by confusion alone. What did they see? Like they said, did they really see something that couldn't be explained with words? Aunt Rosa, who decided that further talk wouldn't get us anywhere, concluded her questioning and said she wanted to check the two bodies. That was something I'd been wanting to do too. The witnesses had been unable to figure anything out, but they had been shaken. Those of us who hadn't been at the scene calmly looked at the corpses, we might find something. But it was also a little surprising to learn that Aunt Rosa was concerned about the bodies. Even at this point, I still wanted to use any clues I could find to expose the culprits and the truth myself. But it should have been different in Aunt Rosa's case. Hasn't Aunt Rosa prioritized staying safe over finding the culprit? I couldn't really see why she would go to all the trouble of leaving our barricade in the parlor just because she wanted to check the bodies.
みんなで一緒に使用人室に行きます。全員一緒に行動すれば安全よ。
No more wolves!
落書き遊びはおしまいになさい。
おお、落書きじゃない。
Oh boy, she's gonna do her
ベ
thing.
アトリーチェの問題を解いてるの。
Which puzzle is this?
おお。
ベアトリーチェの問題
Does she mean the epitaph?
何のことだよ。俺にも教えてくれよ。
ローザおばさん、マリアちゃんも連れて行くんですか？
It seemed that George Aniki was against the idea of bringing Maria to the bloody crime scene. But considering that Maria would be all alone if left here, it'd be surely much safer to take Maria with us. In the end, it was just Aniki's irresponsible humanism. We decided that all of us, including Maria, would go to the servant room. There we go, we're PowerPoint transitioning our way there. The bed in the servant room was stained with bright red blood. No, not just the bed. The whole room was covered with a gruesome paint from countless bloodstains. That dreadful scene alone was enough to give us an idea of the repulsive sight they'd been trying to describe.
おお、マリアも見る。
No, don't do that.
マリアちゃんは僕と一緒にここで待ってよね。
George Aniki was standing by the entrance, covering Maria's eyes with his back to the room. He probably didn't want to dirty an innocent girl's retinas with the repulsive blood in this room. That was surely the correct decision. I was acting tough right now, so I didn't mind. For the rest of my life, whenever I see red paint scattered around, I'll probably remember this room and start to vomit. I'm not vomiting right now, so it's okay. My retinas have already had this room burned into them. In other words, it's already too late for me. Hara?
どこへ？
Oh, are their bodies gone? That's not good. Right after they entered the servant room, Goda-san and Shannon-chan trembled. We shook, wondering what horrible new situation had arisen to make them tremble again.
どうしたの？何事？
Aunt Rosa also shuddered, raised her gun high, and searched for whatever it was that had made them shudder. We're all shuddering, but she couldn't find it. It was only natural. They were trembling because they couldn't find it.
なんだなんだ。どうしたってんだ一体。
人の遺体
Oh
が
no.
ありません。
They've
どういう
disappeared.
ことなの？
そんなはずないんです。確かにお二人はここに。
おいおいおい、なんだよ、死体がどこかへ歩いてったってのか。
Everybody gangsta till the corpses start walking.
そんなわけないだろ。
They're zombies.
この使用人室は施錠されてたんだろ。それを今郷田さんが開けて入ったわけじゃないか。ってことはなんだ。
Well, their master keys were probably still on them.
ジェシカの部屋と同じってことかよ。また密室の中から消えたってのかよ。
It keeps happening. I warned you about the closed rooms, bro.
私にも何のことやらさっぱり。私たちはこの部屋を出るとき確かに鍵をかけて、私こそ何が何やらもうわからないのです。
There was a timid, pitiful smile on Godasan's face that he definitely wouldn't have let show normally. Shannon was the same.
二人の死体が消えた。しかも鍵をかけたのに消えた。仮にカノン君が犯人だとしても、カノン君はマスターキーをもう持ってないはず。
Master key.
違います。カノン君は犯人じゃありません。
シャノン、僕はシャノンを信じるよ。
I'll believe whatever my wife says.
カノン君は犯人なんかじゃない。きっとこれは彼によく似た何者かの仕業なんだ。
いいえ。カノン君はマスターキーを手に入れられたわよ。
Where?
だって彼のマスターキーはジェシカちゃ
Where
んの
did he
遺
get
体の
another
ポ
one?
ケットから
Everybody else has theirs.
そしてその鍵は誰が手に入れた？
そうだ、南條先生が。
Oh, I see. So they're saying he took it off Nanjo's corpse. That's right. Back then, it was definitely Dr. Nanjo who searched through Jessica's clothes and found the master key. So if someone had the opportunity to search Dr. Nanjo's corpse, it would have been easy for them to take the master key back. Rosa searched under the bed and in the locker. By now, I also understood what that meant. If you assume there are two culprits, this can be easily explained. The first person was Kanon-kun, or maybe an imposter sus who looked like him. Finished off Dr. Nanjo and ran off somewhere else. The second person was probably the 19th person, Beatrice, whose location was unknown. That person hid under the bed in the servant room beforehand, and while Dr. Nanjo's body was enshrined here, they waited for Genji-san and the rest to leave. Then later they crawled out, took the master key back from Dr. Nanjo's pocket, and carried the two corpses away for some reason. If they then locked the door with a master key, you'd end up with this closed room. Oh boy, here we go.
ジェシカの部屋の推理を前提になかなか素早く組み立ててきたものよ。
You're really flying by the seat of your pants here, Battler.
その方法なら魔法でなくても密室は作り出せよう。まずは及第点というところか。しかし実に面白い。
Oh, what did Battler forget now? He's always forgetting
お前の言う方法で
things.
犯人がマスターキーを取り返したなら、その犯人はマスターキーをジェシカの遺体から南條が回収したことを
Right, it had to be
知って
someone
い
who
たこと
knew
になる。
Nanjo had that master key in the first place. I mean, unless they got lucky searching Nanjo's body and just like, oh, there's two master keys here. I can make up this plan. Which means, but what really? That just means we're back to suspecting someone we know.
あの時あの場にいた人物以外知り得ない情報だって言いてんだろ。この第三の密室があっさり破られちまったもんで、そういう手で俺に闇を言うしかねえんだろ。
Talk back to her.
同じネタの繰り返しは芸がないぜ。
I may have managed to bluff, but that move of the witches hurt bad. I can tell that I'm cracking under the thing I want to deny the most. This person's trying to close in on me from two directions. On the one hand, there's the frontal attack, where she tries to force me to believe there's a witch using closed room tricks that only a witch could do. And on the other hand, there's the rear attack. Oh no! Watch out! Beatrice is attacking you from the rear, Battler. You better look out. Where she tries to lure me into wanting a witch to exist by strengthening my suspicion of those close to me. In the first closed room, the chapel, she used the frontal attack, but it didn't work on me. So by the second closed room and now in the third closed room, she's definitely changing the direction of her attack. She's attacking your back, Battler. Throw it back, Battler. However, the fact that she is changing the direction of her attack proves that my resistance is having some effect. And she must have given up on the frontal attack because she clearly can't win with it. I tried to settle my unease by thinking these things, but apparently the witch had seen through me long ago. I know, next thing you know, she's going to be attacking Battler from the top direction, too.
絡めては成功法と同時に進めてこそ意味がある。絡めてのみに出するは手段が目的となった時に起こる愚策に過ぎぬぞ。
そうですかい。じゃあお得意の赤で何者かが使用人室に隠れていたを復唱してもらおうじゃないか。
その必要はない。お前の推理の前提は。
Oh,
今から崩れる。
I'm going to smash your theory with facts and logic, Battler.
お？拒否かよ。やっぱり誰かが隠れていたんだな。
ローザが今からお前の前提を崩す。
Watch out for that milk.
まあ耳を傾けてみよ。
Wow.
信じてください、ローザ様。確かにここに二人の遺体を安置したんです。
What will Rosa say?
この床の真っ赤な血は彼らのもの
That
なのです。
smashes Battler's theory. Aunt Rosa began to search through various objects around the room, her back to Goda-san as he cried out in supplication. Eventually she found something and for a while stopped moving.
ローザ様、私たちは断じて嘘などついては。間違いなく二人の遺体はここにあったんです。
静かに。死体を隠した本人は死体はよそに持ち去ったと告白しているわ。これでね。
What is this? Uh-oh. Rosa showed them a single sheet of paper over her shoulder.
それは一体。
Someone left a note.
まさか礼拝堂にあったのと同じ紋章入りの封筒の手紙。
ええ、そうよ。ここに堂々と置いてあったわ。読むわね。
後ろ宮家の皆様、黄金の碑文の謎解きはいよいよ佳境に
No,
入
we
りました
still
で
don't know
しょ
shit
う。
about the riddle.
皆さんに私を止めることができる唯一の方法が碑文の謎を解くことなのです。
I was like, the first episode, you know, we didn't even try to solve the epitaph. Even Battler was like that. So he's like, next time for sure. And they still haven't done it.
それ以外のいかなる方法を持っ
The
て
notes
しても
updated? Okay, I'll check that in a minute.
私と儀式を止めることはできません。くれぐれも皆さんの目的をお間違いなきようよろしくお願い申し上げます。私を探そうとも無駄。
She has gone to the void.
私から逃れようとも無駄。私を否定しようとも無駄なのです。黄金のベアトリーチェ。
追試。
Alright, hang on. I'll check now. Let's see. Servant Canon. There's no corpse, and yet he's dead. The witch said so in red. So he definitely is dead, even though there's no corpse. Servant Kumasawa. Died in the servant room, her throat sliced open by a sharp blade or something similar. The finishing touches are yet to come. Ooh, spooky. Family Doctor Nanjo. Died in the servant room, his throat sliced open by a sharp blade or something similar. However, this alone isn't enough. Spooky. Oh, there's a postscript.
二人の遺体を儀式にお借りします。
What does she need them for?
後ほどご返却いたしますので、ご容赦をお願いいたします。あと、この鍵は皆様のものですので、ご返却いたします。
As Rosa read that aloud, the contents of the envelope lay exposed on the palm of her hand. There were two master keys. The master key that Nanjo had found in Jessica's pocket, which had originally been Kanon's, and Kumasawa's master key. Oh, great.
なんだと？
なんだと？
ってことはどういうことだよ。
Only a witch could have done this.
ふざけんなよ、またかよ。またマスターキーを持ってる使用人しか疑えないってのかよ。
That's right, that leaves only Shannon, Goda, and Genji.
わらわは赤では言ってはおらぬぞ。彼らがこの部屋に施錠をして去った時、この部屋に何者かが隠れていた可能性を。
ベッドの下にでも隠れれば死体をどこかへ運び出すのはできないことじゃない。しかしそれじゃ施錠ができない。わざわざ手に入れたマスターキーをここへ置いてっちまってる。そうだ、忘れてた。この部屋の本来の鍵である使用人室の鍵はどうなっている？
うん。それなら使用人室の奥のキーボックスに収められているぞ。使用人室の鍵は数本あるが、そのすべてがキーボックス
Okay,
に
so all the
収めら
servant
れている。
keys are also in this room.
ってことはジェシカの部屋の鍵の時と状況は何も変わらないってことか。
The servant keys are also in this room. They were locked in here too.
便利なマスターキーがあれば不要な鍵はわざわざ持ち歩かないもんな。キーボックスにしまわれっぱなしになってるのも納得だぜ。
その他の条件も何も変わらぬ。出入りは唯一の扉と唯一の窓から以外は不可能。
I'm glad you like it, Default Donkey.
ゆえに
I'm happy you
隠し
enjoy the
扉
new
などの
emote.
不正規な出入
Thank
り手段
Chesu
は
Chesuto
否定される。
on Twitter.
喜べ名探偵ども。
She's following Nox's commandments.
そしてそれらはいずれも施錠されていた。扉も窓も施錠時にはいかなる出入りも許さない。つまり施錠を維持したまま扉を外す、隙間を作ってすり抜けるなどなどは通用しないということだ。当然だが扉の開錠は使用人室の鍵とマスターキー以外は不可能。毎回これを読み上げるのも面倒だの。
It's interesting that she says read them all out. Does she have it written down?
今度これをまとめて一言に略す言葉でも考えよう。
だがこの部屋に誰かが隠れていたことは復唱できねえだろ。しかしそれだけなら
True.
密室の扉が破れない。ああ、くそくそ。
Yeah, she's reading her card effects, like from Yu-Gi-Oh.
ダメだダメだ、全然ダメだ。
全然ダメだ。
お得意のチェス盤をひっくり返すとやらはどうした？
Doesn't seem to be doing him much good in
自
this
慢の陳
situation.
説をぜひ披露して
He
み
even
よ
said in episode 1 that the chessboard spinning has limitations.
チェス盤をひっくり返す。俺が犯人ならどうする？死体をどこかへ運び出す。手紙を残す。内側から鍵を閉める。ここから何かの方法で部屋を脱出すればいいんだ。
Hmm.
くそ、そんな方法はあるのか？扉と窓以外からは外に出られないと赤で言われちまってる。
Oh. Oh, is there some... There must be some twist, right? Let me try and think. Let me see if I can guess it. She said you can't get outside except through the door or window. So maybe they're not outside the room. Maybe they're still in there. That's right. The culprit carried away the corpses, left the letter, and since they didn't use a hidden door, they weren't able to escape. That's it. This isn't a question, it's an answer. Yeah, it's like I thought. They're still in the room.
復唱要求の前にお前の言う隠し扉の定義を確認したい。
Like maybe there's a hidden door, but it's not a door they use to escape the room. It's just a door that leads to some sort of hiding spot inside the room.
何を思いついたやら。よかろう。説明する。隠し扉とは知らぬ人間が認識できぬ出入り口のことであろうが。そんなこと
We're getting into some real legalese here. Like we're lawyering our way through that.
つまり部屋の外に出られなかったらそれは隠し扉じゃないってことだよな。
ほう、そうきたか。
俺は
Gotta check the rules. That's right.
犯
It's
人は
all
密室
it's
から
all
抜け出し
based
たものだ
on
とばかり
language.
思っていた。
It's all based on your specific choice of words when you speak in red.
違うんだ。犯人だって密室からだから隠れてやり過ごそうとした。
During the second closed room, I tried applying this theory to Kanon-kun, but after hearing Kanon-kun was killed in red, I gave it up. After that, I proposed that a third person might have been in the room before escaping through a hidden door. And then, for the first time, I was faced with the red claim that no hidden doors exist. Now move from there to what I've just learned. That term, hidden door, refers to things that make it possible to enter or leave a room. In other words, that category doesn't cover things that don't actually lead in or out of the room, even if those two things could never be recognized by people who didn't know about them beforehand. So if we had something like a hidden shelf or a secret closet, for example, that wouldn't count as a hidden door. That means the third person from Jessica's room is hiding here, waiting for us to leave. How pathetic. It was all just a bit of wordplay. Looks like that technique should be enough to handle even this third closed room. If there's a hidden shelf under the bed or anything like that, that'd be enough. The culprit's hiding somewhere, waiting for us to leave. They've used this a couple times in Ace Attorney too. Turn your thinking around, Phoenix. That's what Mia always said. The culprit is also trapped in this closed room even now, which means, at this very moment, the culprit is still hiding in the servant room, holding their breath. That means, what the hell? Even though we've been tortured by closed rooms 3 times, at this very moment, we've actually gotten the culprit in checkmate.
ようやく見えてきたぜ。くらえベアト。負傷要求。この部屋には俺たち以外の
Oh,
誰
that's a
もい
good
ない。
one. That's a good way to put it.
俺たちってのは俺、ジョージの兄貴、マリア、ローザおばさん、ゲンジさん、ゴーダさん、シャノンちゃんのことだぜ。どうだ、言えねえだろ。
Beatrice, I can't see your face. She's getting Mike Wazowski'd. Battler's hands are too big. Huh?
痛えとこ疲れただろ。
There we go. There you can see it.
拒否なら拒否と言いやがれ。次行くぜ。負傷要求。
I don't know how they're hiding in this room, but if they are, then this solves the second closed room, Jessica's room, at the same time. I finally caught her by the tail. With this, I can explain anything. Wishes don't exist, and I don't have to suspect anyone. Alright, starting now, I'll spin it all around. Now I'll have her repeat that.
この部屋にはお前たち以外は存在しない。
Oh, owned.
お前たちの定義とは、バトラー、ジョージ、マリア、ローザ、
Rip.
ゲンジ、ゴーダ、シャノンのことを
Nice
指す。
try, Battler. It was a good effort.
ジェシカの部屋に話を戻す。
It was a good effort, Battler.
ジェシカの死体発見時、バトラー、ジョージ、マリア、ローザ、ゲンジ、ゴーダ、シャノン、熊沢、南條のみだった。
He's just like, I've got the perfect setup. This mix-up she'll never see this mix-up coming. Beatrice blocks it.
おっと、死体のジェシカももちろん含む。
Ah, you almost got me with that one.
ジェシカの部屋の件、そしてこの使用人室の件の両方について、そなたが認識していた以外の人間は存在しない。誰も隠れていない。
No one is
さら
hiding.
に言おう。扉は鍵を使用せずに外から施錠する方法は存在しない。窓については外からはいかなる方法でも施錠する方法は存在しない。ついでに言おう。そなたは無能だ。
You are an incompetence. That's really fucking good. She said it in red, that must mean it's true. How do you recover from this? How will he ever recover from this? How will he ever recover? Oh my god. You are incompetent, battler. Oh, I definitely screenshotted it. Oh, also her laughing is in red, so I guess that's also true? How does that even work?
バカ野郎。それじゃあ本当に3つじゃねえかよ。せっかく思いついたのに。
Yeah, exactly. It's a genuine laugh? Okay.
全て説明がついたのに。
Here's the red truth. I'm having a great time.
トリックを打ち破れたと思ったってのに。くそ。
Oh my gosh. Damine. For a second I thought I had it. It was all useless. Damn it. I was so sure that I'd finally seen through her. That I'd seen how she distracted me with her clever red wordplay and fooled me. Just when I thought I'd found a light in the darkness, it disappeared, just disappeared, swallowed up by a blood-red sea. Red, 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 red. No one is hiding, and there's no hidden door, and no way to get past the door or the window while they're locked. Have you just proven that it's all impossible? Has the devil's proof been fulfilled with a frontal attack? Impossible. That's impossible.
どうしたのだ
後ろ見やバトラー。
魔女を否定する気で満々だったじゃない。そんなところで這いつくばって悔し涙を
Yo,
絞り
get
出
his
して
ass.
どうしたん
Drag
だ
him.
ああ、それはとっても素敵な方法。わらわを笑い転げさせて笑い涙の海で溺れ殺してやろうというのは
Oh, this dude's getting his ass is getting destroyed in the quote retweets.
実はそうなんだろう。わらわを笑って笑って笑い殺してやろうって手なんだろう。後ろ見やバトラ
Batora. Fucking ratioed. Yeah, look at that.
何が魔法だ。魔女なんて絶対に否定してやる。お前なんて絶対に信じない。魔法の力でみんなを面白半分にいじめ殺してるなんて絶対に認めねえ。
なあ
You're in a sticky situation, Badler.
いじめすぎて悪かった。
I didn't think she's sorry at all. She's based.
わらわ側からチェス盤をひっくり返してやるぞ。お前に代わってお前側の最善手を
Oh,
教
I'll
え
give
て
you
や
a
る。
little pity freebie, Badler.
聞きたい？
ふざけんな。聞きたくねえ聞きたくね
I don't need your hints,
ジェ
you
シカの
whore.
部屋の件。そなたは実に良いところをついていたのだぞ。隠れてやり過ごそうとした。これは実にいい着眼だった。だが、なぜそれをカノンと19人目のわらわにしか考えなかった？
Come on, Badler. Blame your
そ
friends.
うか。隠れてやり過ごすのに隠れてが邪魔だったから考えが至らなかったか。ほーら、もうわかるだろう。
How will he ever
ジ
recover?
ェシカだよ。
What, Jessica killed Canon and then herself?
ジェシカ
Oh, that's pretty good, actually. If Jessica were the culprit, a face like this could be easily constructed. She killed Kanon-kun and carried him off somewhere. Then she played dead and let us walk by. But that's ridiculous. Dr. Nanjo definitely confirmed that she was dead. Hello, Baka Tyler. I'm getting raided by a puny little goblin. Welcome to the Golden Slaughter, all of you. We're reading Umineko, we're in the second episode. Battler just got called an incompetent and read. It's all very funny. This man, our protagonist, is getting ratioed to death. But that's ridiculous. Dr. Nanjo definitely confirmed that she was dead. So is Dr. Nanjo an accomplice too? That's wrong. I also confirmed that Jessica was dead. Of course, I've never examined a corpse before, but she was definitely dead. I think she was dead. Now that's probably surely definitely what I thought, but certainly wait. She was dead. She was dead. It is definitely that, Tyler.
そして検視をした南條もグルならば第三の密室など茶番だろうが
Yeah, then it's simple. Dr. Nanjo is in on it, so in other words, he's on the culprit's side, which means he was never dead in the first place. We thought his body disappeared after he was killed, but what if he was never in the servant room to begin with? Okay, I will check my DMs after the stream, Matsuni Marvin. So if Kumasawa Bachan disappeared with him, does that mean she's in on it too? That's not all. That's not all. The servants who all agreed to keep to that story, Genji-san and Goda-san and even Shanon-chan, were also in on it. Then, the one who stole the key from Maria's handbag was Jessica. No, it could even have been George Aniki. After all, if Shanon-chan is on the culprit's side, that automatically makes George Aniki on the culprit's side. Wait a second, just wait a second. They're all wolves. They're all wolves! Not only am I drowning in an ocean of bright red blood, there are packs of wolves clamoring on the banks whose blazing eyes tell me they'll eat me if I crawl out. Which way should I die? Should I deny everything and drown in a bright red sea? Battler's losing it a little down. A little bit. Or should I learn the truth and have my whole body chewed to bits by the wolves? Neither one hell or the other. I can't choose. That's right, Battler. Suspect your friends. Is it magic, or is everybody you know a killer? Yeah, just say it in red.
そして永遠の忠誠を誓ってわらわの靴を舐めるがいいわらわを認めれば
there's two.
全ての謎に決着がつくわらわの力をもってすればどのような密室も生み出せ
Now hang on a minute. Energy can't be created or destroyed. But I guess... Stop using the multiply tool.
力ある者の屈服する喜びに身を委ねたくはない
Oh, she wants to peg him so bad. Holy shit. She's so based. She's just like me for real. This is really good. This is good material. I'm stealing all of this. Hello, Chicksama. They're all laughing. All the women are laughing at you, Battler. They're laughing in red. Wow. Meanwhile, in the real world.
もう疑いようもない。
は？と言いますと？
あなたたちが死んだという二人はここにいない。そしてベアトリーチェからの手紙があり。
Oh, she loves the... Battler is the most pathetic, man. Vito is having the time of her fucking life.
そういうことよ。もう茶番は飽き飽きしたわ。
Oh, they're playing the Star Trek reference song again. You can hear the clip from the Star Trek Next Generation movie in it. As Aunt Rosa yelled that, she looked at all of us with a fierce expression. This song is good.
どういう意味ですか？私はジェシカちゃんの部屋で言ったわ。信用できるのは自分自身と死体となって見つかった者以外いないってね。そして死体が見つからない以上、あの二人が殺されたことを認めるわけにはいかない。
待ってください、ローザおばさん。それはどういう意味ですか？
南條先生と熊沢さんは死んでないわ。生きている。
They
殺
snuck
さ
off.
れたということにして、この屋敷のどこかに隠れている。私たちを襲うためにね。
なんでそんなことがわかるんですか？ゴーダさんたちが嘘をついていると言うんですか？
ローザ様、このゴーダ、いえ、後ろ宮家使用人一同、誓ってそのようなことは、いたしません。
Goda, your face looks like it's melting all the time. You're not the best representative for
南條
telling the
先
truth.
生たちが殺されたという。でも死体がない以上、それを信じるわけにはいかない。あなたたちが口裏を合わせてそういう嘘をついている可能性があるのに、あなたたちの無実を信じる方法はちゃんとあるわよ。南條先生と熊沢さんの遺体が見つかることよ。
They gotta be around here somewhere.
それが見つかったら、私はあなたたちの話を聞いてみようという話にもなるわ。でも見つからない限り、あなたたちは狼であることを否定できない。あんたも
Goda got that Buzz Lightyear build. You know what? You're right. He's got like the same chin.
あんたも黄金に目がくらんであの魔女に買収されたんでしょ。そんなに金が欲しい？
I want money that much.
そうなんでしょ。
I would kill everyone here for that much gold. Don't you think for one second I
一生遊んで
wouldn't.
暮らしたいの？
Yes.
そんな人生に何の価値があるのよ。
ローザ様、私たちはそんな。
黙りなさい。そしてシャノン、それ以上近づかないで。10年の恩を受けながらそれをあだで返すなんて、容赦なく引き金を引くわよ。
そんなのって。
She's got that thing on her.
ローザおばさん、それは暴言だ。この部屋で殺人が起こった。そして犯人が死体を持ち去った。彼女たちはそれを正直に申告しているだけだ。
She's gonna turn him into Swiss cheese. She's gonna ventilate him. Shannon had finally broken down in tears. She had sacrificed 10 years to the Ushiromiya family. She had sacrificed 10 of the most brilliant years of her life. She believed that she'd built up a friendly relationship with Rosa. And this was what she got in return. You can kill a person without using a knife. I didn't have to be George Aniki to realize that Shannon-chan had been stabbed deep in the heart, that she was shedding tears like blood.
シャノンさん、下がって。ローザ様、確かにこのゴーダはお勤めして日も浅く、信用を勝ち得ていないのはわかります。
I really didn't expect Goda to come through like
しかし、
this.
せめてシャノンさんだけでも信じていただくわけには参りませんか。彼女は10年間も後ろ宮家に奉仕を捧げてまいりました。このゴーダを信じろとは申しません。
You like that he addresses himself as I, Goda? I think it's a very formal way of speaking.
せめてシャノンさんだけでも信じてやっていただくわけには参りませんか。
But even I don't understand anymore. I don't understand. We can't search for an answer without suspecting them. Yeah, bit by bit, I'm starting to understand. It's because we've been searching for an answer. That's why everything keeps going wrong. We don't need an answer. These are all strange murders, committed with bizarre magic by the 19th person, the witch Beatrice, in accordance with some creepy ceremony. Isn't that enough? I don't want to suspect anyone anymore. He's giving in. He's opening up for the pegging. Shannon-chan and Goda-san were protesting their innocence, half crying. Genji-san quietly put a stop to that.
よしなさい。 ローザ様の言うことはもっとも死体を見つけない限り、南條先生と熊沢の無実は。
That's right. By Rosa-san's argument... Oh, sorry, Genji, you're still talking. You're talking very slowly. By Rosa-san's argument, if their corpses can be found, then the innocence of those people killed alone can be proven. But that only counted for the corpses. Even if the survivors searched the mansion and found the corpses, in the end, their own innocence would never be proven. Excuse me. They kidnapped Dr. Nanjo and Kumasawa-san, killed them in another place, and locked the closed room with their own master keys. Unless the closed room could be broken by a method other than that one, it would be impossible to prove their innocence. But that couldn't be done. They only have one chance to prove their innocence. They can only happen if they meet with the culprit, become corpses, and are then reunited with Aunt Rosa. Isn't that strange? They're innocent if they die, but guilty as long as they're alive, just like a witch trial. Oh, right, the enemy is a witch. So everything's cool, is that it? Everything's cool when your enemy is a witch.
ローザ様、私たちは後ろ宮家にお仕えする家具です。私どもを信用されるもされないもまた、たとえどのようなご評価をいただこうとも、最後の時までお務めを続けるのみでございます。
あなたは本当に使用人の鏡ね。お父様が心を許すのもよくわかるの。そんなあなたまで疑わなくてはならないなんて。
Natsuki also said that. We're getting parallels. It's like pottery, it rhymes. Genji-san stuck his hand into his pocket and pulled out a master key. Then he set it on a nearby table.
私は信頼の証としてこれを預かっていると信じています。それを失ったならこれをお返しするのは当然かと思います。
それはいい判断ね。今日何度もあなたたちが疑われてきた最大の根拠はこのマスターキー。
That is true, I guess.
それを手放せば疑いが晴らせるのではないかというのは初歩的ではあるけれど、まあ悪いことじゃないと思うわ。
二人とも。
Genji-san looked at Goda-san and Shannon-chan. The two of them nodded and set their own master keys on the table. Aunt Rosa laid the two master keys that had come out of the envelope on top. With that, all 5 master keys were gathered in this place. In other words, this was proof that all of the servants' servants until today had been negated, with even the final honor they should have been permitted stripped from them.
マリア、その手提げを貸しなさい。
Aunt Rosa snatched Maria's handbag, tossed the master keys in there, and held up one of them for all to see. She was showing us that she now had all the master keys. Please don't kill my wife.
ローザおばさん、これでマスターキーはローザおばさんが持つものだけだ。これで満足なんだろう。
ええ、満足よ。
What? She's acting so smug.
たとえ全員が信用できなくても、私は私自身だけを信用することができる。その私が銃とマスターキーを独占できた。
Alright, let's calm down a little bit.
これで私はもう誰も疑わずに済むの。あなたたちも嬉しいでしょ？
If you're so happy, why are you pointing that gun?
これでもう疑われずに済む。
I don't like that you had that laugh. Oh boy, here goes Maria. At that time, Maria, who alone seemed to be watching this as though it were a show, sneered at her mother. Aunt Rosa reacted nervously to that laugh and turned around.
鍵なんか関係ないよ。ベアトリーチェは魔法で扉を開けられる。
It's always with magic.
鍵なんていらない。そんなもの誰が持っていたって持っていなくたって関係ないんだよ。
It's magic.
その笑い方をやめなさいっていつも言ってるでしょ。なーに、バトラ君。
I had just cut in between the two of them. No, that's not it. I was on my knees and hugging Maria's head. I was crying.
もうよしてくれよ。
I'm glad Battler finally does
Rosa
something
Obasan.
about this particular situation.
マリアが正しかったんだ。
何を言っているの？
マリア、疑って悪かった。
Battler's given up already? It's only episode 2. We've got 6 more to go. That can't be the case.
バトラー、
全部魔女の仕業だったんだ。魔女の仕業だったんだよ。トリックとかミスとかどうでもよかったんだ。
Can't believe he gave up early. I guess the game's over, everybody.
ただベアトリーチェっていう魔女が実在して
I know, the ratio
本当に
broke
魔女
this
だった
man.
だけなんだ。
He replaced his header with that one image from what is it? Is it Jujutsu Kaisen?
それも俺は信じなかったからこんなにも苦しくて
Tokyo Ghoul, that was it.
悲しくて。
The guy crying in the rain. I haven't read Tokyo Ghoul. I should though.
ベアトリーチェを信じてくれる？
ああ、信じる。ベアトリーチェはいるんだ。そして不思議な魔法を使う魔女なんだ。
バトラー、
Maria let go of my hand, and then she was the one holding my head.
それでいいんだよ、バトラー。ベアトリーチェはいたの。バトラーがなかなかそれを信じられなかったから見えなかったの。魔女はいるの。いる。もうすぐ来る。バトラーはベアトを信じてくれたから、きっと黄金鏡を招かれる
Congratulations,
よ。
Battler.
もうすぐだから。もう何も怖くない。怖くないよ。
That's right, Beatrice is coming.
マリアと一緒にお手手をつないでずっと一緒にいよう。一緒に非分の謎を考えよう。ベアとの問題を考えよう。ベア
The
とは
puzzle,
最
the
初から言
epitaph,
って
the
るよ。
riddle.
この問題を解いて遊ぼうとしか言ってないよ。
ああ、そうだったんだ。犯人探しなんて全くの時間の無
It's
駄だったん
almost
だ。
like she literally told you this.
俺た
Like
ちは
almost
た
word
だ
for
魔女
word.
を信じればよかったんだ。
After gently brushing my cheek as my tears kept dripping down, Maria kissed my forehead as soft as a feather. For just that instant, Maria's smile, which had once seemed creepy to me, looked like that of an angel.
マスターキーはお返ししましたが、私どもの後ろ宮家への忠誠は変わりません。100前は以後、お許しがない限り立ち入りません。どうかローザ様も客間を内側より施錠なさってください。
本当に殊勝な人ね。台風が過ぎ去ってこの島に再び海猫の鳴き声が戻ってきたなら、私たちは再び互いを信頼し合えるのかしら。
もし再びの信頼を賜えるのでしたら、これに勝る喜びはありません。
そうね。私たちは必ず分かり合えるわ。
Sure. Sure.
海猫の鳴く頃に。
There you go. When they cry. It's close enough, right?
この部屋は警察が来るまでこのままにした方が良いでしょう。ローザ様、施錠をお願いいたします。私たちは厨房へ戻ります。何かございましたらいつでもご用命ください。
ありがとう。あなたが狼だったなら、なんてシャーシャーとのたまうのか。そしてあなたが羊だったなら、あなたを狼の檻に放り出して。
家具は家に
I'm not any of those things. I'm a chair.
命を落とすことになろうと。それによってローザ様の信頼を再び勝ち取れるならば、それはとても光栄なことです。
できることならば、あなたたちが台風が
I don't think it is possible. We'll see how it goes.
これはすべて台風が奏でる暴風と降雨の競争曲。演奏が終われば幕が下り、私たちは再び手を取り合えるに違いない。海猫も
There you go. Umineko when they cry. They sure like saying that. Aunt Rosa nodded in response. Genji-san turned on his heels. He left the servant room. Goda-san's face was still streaked with tears, but maybe he'd managed to sort out his feelings as he listened to Genji-san's words. His face had been truly shameful, but it had returned to the face of the Goda-san we knew well.
私も厨房に控えております。何かございましたらいつでもご用命ください。温かい食事をお望みでしたら
That's a good question, Deity Diamond.
最高のお料理を用意させていただきます。
ありがとう。あなたには明日の朝食を頼みたいわ。明日の昼前には船も来るでしょう。今までありがとう。六軒島で唯一の楽しみがあなたの食事だったわ。
かしこまりました。この豪田最高の朝食を用意いたします。どうか明日の朝を楽しみにしてください。
ありがとう。シャノンちゃんも明日の朝に美味しいコーヒーを飲みながら仲直りをしましょう。
The Supreme Breakfast.
ジョージ君。
僕も彼らと一緒に行く。
いいんです、庄司様。
Oh, this is not gonna end well for
どう
George.
か客間にお戻りになってください。もうマスターキーは他にありません。だからローザ様とご一緒に客間にいれば誰にも脅かされません。
そうね、そういうことになってる。客間に私と一緒にいるのが客観的に考えて一番安全だと思う。
Objectively speaking.
でも無理に一緒にいるとは言わない。ジョージ君はジョージ君の安全だと思う場所にいればいい。ジョージ君ももう大人だものね。明日の朝までどこで誰と過ごそうと自由だもの。
そうさ。
Sure feels like everybody's like, ah, great, it's over. All of
僕
a
の判
sudden.
断で誰と夜を過ごすか決める。
兄貴。
バトラ君はローザおばさんと客間にいるんだ。きっとそれが一番安全なんだ。客間の外はそれに比べたら安全ではないと思う。なら
Yeah, she's got a gun
そんな
and
場
is
所にいる彼
unstable.
女僕は一人。
俺は決してシャノンちゃんや他の使用人を、いや誰かを疑ってるわけじゃないんだ。誰も疑いたくないんだ。いいさ、黄金、そんなのくだらねえじゃねえかよ。そんなので殺し合いなんて。
I don't know. That seems likely to me. I think people kill each other over gold all the
バト
time.
ラ君の心が美しいことは僕が一番知っている。誰も君を責めない。
I would. I would.
誰も。
兄貴。
大丈夫。バトラはマリアが守る。
You sure will, Maria.
マリアと一緒ならベアトリーチェでも手出しできない。だってマリアはちっちゃくても魔女だもの。
マリアちゃん、バトラ君をよろしく。さあ、シャノン、行こう。
はい、ローザ様。それでは失礼させていただきます。ご用命がございましたらいつでもお呼びつけください。
さっきはひどいことを言ってごめんなさいね。明日の朝まで許さなくてもいい。でも明日の朝になったらもう一度。
はい、ありがとうございます。
George Aniki and Shannon Chan left the servant room together. Now, only Maria, Aunt Rosa, and I were left in this disgusting blood-stained room. Until Genji-san disappeared, until Goda-san disappeared, until George Aniki and Xiaonan-chan disappeared, we stood there, shocked. After their presence and their footsteps had completely disappeared, Aunt Rosa giggled, as though she just remembered something pleasant.
何も信用できないわよ。
What are you on about now?
家具どもが。
That one sentence made me choke. What's your fucking problem now?
言うんだよ。
Oh, okay, here it comes.
マスターキーは5つで全部。そんなの誰が信じるの？
Yeah, Rosa definitely just gonna casually drop slurs.
どうせ複製の鍵があるに決まってるのよ。
Oh, okay. Wait, no. But like, Beatrice talked about this earlier. She's like, yeah, having a bunch of extra master keys would make this whole murder mystery thing difficult. A loose end like that, a cop out. So we know there aren't more master keys. Rosa's bullshitting. She's just being a bitch for no reason.
そりゃねえぜ。その鍵を置いたってのはよ。
He looks so sad. He looks like that one picture of like the cat with huge eyes.
あんた、彼らの今日までの苦労、すべて台無しにして怪我して踏みつけて、その挙句としてその鍵を手放させたんだぜ。
I love how it's like, as soon as the other siblings were gone and Rosa gets a taste of like power, she goes fucking insane. She's not at all like Natsuki. Natsuki was pretty base in the first episode. Ah, stop saying that. Stop talking about the fucking Devil's Crew.
マスターキーが5つあることはここに置けば示せる。でも5つ以上存在しないことは証明できない。そんなことは悪魔か魔女にしか証明できないのよ。
Oh boy. I'm crying in both dimensions.
もうやめてくれ。もうやめて。頼むよ、ベアトリーチェ。
I'm so tired.
そしてローザおばさんに赤でマスターキーは5本しかないって言ってやってくれ。頼むよ、5丁だよ。悪魔にしか証明できないんだよ。魔女のお前なら証明できるんだよ。頼むからベアト、ここに現れてローザおばさんに。
She's gonna be like, no, I'm not gonna do that because it's funny if I don't.
それで全部だから、もうみんなを疑わなくていいんだって。
マスターキーは5本しかない。マスターキーは5本しかない。これはどうしたことか。わらわがいくら口にしてもローザに届かぬ。どうやらわらわの存在を否定しているやつがまだいるから聞こえない。
That's why. I was like, Battler gave up. What's up with that? It's Rosa.
後ろ見や
Battler?
認める。認めるよ。お前はいる確かにいる。だから5章だよ。
It's Rosa, right?
もうやめて。
Rosa doesn't believe. You gotta shake the screen for emphasis.
言葉だけでは届かぬぞ。態度で示す。わらわの家具になると心から誓え。できるか？
Bend over, you bitch.
服を脱げ。裸になるんだよ。そして両手を
This is primo content right here.
着衣は霊長にのみ認められた。
Battler, I need you to get naked.
貴様は今から家具になるんだよ。だからその資格を失う当然のこと。そしてひざまずけよ。わらわの靴に舌を這わせる。
Wait, why the music's fading? What's going on now?
できるか？できるんだよな。
だよな。
そうしたら現れてやるよ。赤で言ってやる。マスターキーは5本しかないってローザに言ってやるよ。 でもわかってる。
Oh, okay, that was just the song looping. I thought it was like an event thing.
プライドを捨てられるわけがない。それでもいいんだよ。十分なんだよ。
Ooh, you're starting to get the tingles, are you, Battler?
靴を舐めてもいいか。一瞬思っただろ。
I can tell, I can feel your bottom vibes from here.
すぐにそれを否定して自分を恥じただろう。その表情が見れるだけで最高に素敵な気分なんだよ。ざまあねえ顔だよ。鏡で見てみろよ。裸になって靴を舐めてる。
Yo, this bitch is going
最低な
off.
思いが映ってるぜ。
She's ending his entire
見
career.
えるかよ。後ろ見やバトラー。
Ah! That was... Oh god, time is continuing again. The clock is so big. What time is it? Why is it going so far? It's 6 p.m. Battler just received the biggest fucking ratio of his life. She hit him with the "you're incompetent" in red. It was so
信じられない
funny.
それが真相だというのかい。
はい。私たちは見たままのことをお話ししています。
How will he ever recover? George folded his arms and started mumbling again, and the kitchen was once again wrapped in a long silence.
ジョージ様がにわかには信じられない気持ちも私はよくわかります。何しろこの目で確かに見たはずの私ですらあれが何だったのかわからなくなる。私は確かに見た。そして取っ組み合いまでしたはずなんです。なのにあれが全部幻だったような気すらする。
なるほどね。あのローザおばさんに詳しく話せないわけだ。今の話を本当にしてたらもっと面倒なトラブルになっていただろうね。なるほど。源氏さんが随分冷静な対応をしていたのが分かりました。
This is the episode Battler becomes the Joker. I'm looking forward to it. Beatrice is already the Joker, but for women. George had not actually seen it, and even when pressed to believe, he just couldn't imagine it. It was only natural. Because even the people who had actually seen it had given up asking themselves what it was.
話を少し巻き戻すよ。
Step back, rewind.
シャノンはカノン君が偽物かもしれないと思った時、
Sus.
クモの巣を取ってきたと言ったね。どうしてそんなことを？
そうだ。それは私
Yeah,
も思
what's
って
with
い
the
ました。
spider thing? Is it because the spiders eat
どうして
butterflies?
クモの巣だったんです？
前に熊沢さんに聞いたことがあるんです。大昔の六軒島には悪霊が住んでいて、そのクモの巣を恐れたって。それでクモの巣を魔除けと尊んで大切にしたという昔話があるんだそうです。
I wonder how long people have been living on Rokenjima then. Surely the family not that long. But maybe there was natives here at some point?
私も
Like
少し
people who were
混乱
born on
して
the
いたん
island
だ
and
と
stuff?
思います。
そんな話が。熊沢はそういう昔話に詳しかったな。
クモは液中ですからね。確かにそういう信仰があってもおかしくないかも
Spiders
しれ
are
ない。
very useful bugs. That's a thing to say.
きっと
I guess they do some things
そ
for
の
like
悪
the
霊の力を
ecosystem.
あの鳥居の祠が封じ込めてたんだと思います。そして霊境が
Gosh,
現れたので
I
その
wonder
力を
whose fault that is. Who did that? Whose fault is that?
ベアトリーチェ様を蘇らせる力となってしまったに違いないのです。
What? There she goes.
心の弱かった私があんな大それたことをしなければ。
It was me. I broke it.
シャノン、
Not the
その
consequences
話
of my
は
actions
もうしな
coming
くて
to
も大
haunt
丈夫だ
me.
よ。僕は君を責めたりなんかしない。
If only I hadn't done exactly what this suspicious person had told me to do. Since long ago, Shannon had often suggested that there was some kind of occult cause for her meeting with George. After listening to her, George had grown to think that she was being a typical girl, associating love with fate, chance, and miracles. You know, normal girl stuff. He did think that smashing the spirit mirror offered at the Torii Shrine was taking it a bit far, but he'd laughed it off and forgiven her, thinking of it as just a prank that showed how serious she was about her relationship with him. Just breaking a mirror in some musty shrine wouldn't have changed the fate of our meeting, and it would never cause any curse. He tried to cheer her up, saying it was only a musty mirror covered in dust.
ベアトリーチェ様という霊のような存在がいるという話はこの島に勤めるようになってからたくさんの同僚に聞かされました。最初はバカバカしいと思っていましたが、
It was all a bit silly.
それを批判するとなんだか不謹慎そうな空気があったもので、私も表向きは信じているように振る舞っていきました。しかしまさか本当に。
いたんです。ベアトリーチェ様はずっとこのお屋敷におられたんです。
Yeah, didn't you see her PFP
ベ
update?
アトリーチェ様は力を失っておられて、私たちの前に姿を現すことができなかったんです。ずっといた。私たちが見えなかっただけなんです。
源氏さんの意見を聞きたいです。
私には
I have no thoughts. My head is empty. Don't ask me
一
questions.
つだけ申し上げたいのは、私たちはあの時ここに5人いた。そしてカノンが勝手口から帰ってきたと思う。
I definitely know more than I'm letting on, but I won't tell you in this part.
そして使用人室
I'm
に
very
運ぶ
secretive for no reason.
何かが起こって南條先生と熊沢が帰らぬ人となってしまった。それだけです。私たちは見たものをすでに全て説
They've all.
明しました。
I've noticed they've all forgotten about Kenzo in his room.
それを見ていないジョージ様に信じろというのはとても無理な
I'm sure he's
話
fine.
だと理解して
I'm sure he's doing great.
信じられるわけがない。あれは間違いなくカノンさんだと思った。でもあいつがベッドから起き上がって、そうこんな風にしながら
Hello, sweet creamy.
胸の傷をまさぐり始めた時、こいつはカノンさんじゃない、誰か別の存在なんだと直感しました。ジョージ様にはわからないでしょう。よく知っていると思っていた人物が実は別人であることをさらけ出した瞬間の恐ろしさというものは説明できない。とても説明できるわけがない。
わかるよ。ゴーダさんがそれほどまでにショックを受けるどんな恐ろしいことがあったのか。
ありがとうございます、ジョージ様。
You just got back from watching American Psycho? That's almost relevant. Battler had his biggest ratio yet. Beatrice has just destroyed his ass. Figuratively and probably literally. And they all fell silent again. Shannon kept crying no matter how many times she was consoled, thinking that listening to the witch's sweet whispers and breaking the spirit mirror on that day had been the mistake that ruined everything.
君に囁いたという魔女はその鏡があると力を失うんだね。
少し
What if we
説明
glued
して
it
くれ
back
た気がし
together?
ますが、よく覚えていません。あの鏡があると力が出せない
Genji,
と
fetch
いう
me
よう
and
な
my
ことを
horse
言
glue.
っていたと思います。
The
君が
gorilla
割った
grip,
という
please.
その鏡はどうしたの？
覚えていません。多分割ったまま立ち去りましたから、そのままそこに残ってたでしょう。
ということは岩礁が雷で撃たれて消えたとかいうとき
so much for the glue
海の
plan.
底か。まあ拾って接着剤で貼り付けたところで ご利益は戻らないだろうけどね。
私は
You fucked up.
本当に
ごめん、失言したよ。
He didn't know Shannon breaking the mirror really had started all this off. Though the servants didn't blame Shannon, they all seemed to believe that her actions had been the root cause. But even now, George wasn't able to go that far. All this talk about witches and evil spirits just sounded fake to him, even though he was trying to be open-minded. Even so, he listened seriously to Shannon's story, trying to find a hint that might relieve at least a little bit of the pain in her heart.
そういえばその鳥居にあったものとは違うでしょうが、奥様がお守りとして霊鏡をお持ちになっていると
Which
聞い
madam?
たことがありま
There's
す。
so many madams.
夏日おばさんが
Oh, that one.
Hi.
I guess when he says madam, he means the madam of the house, which would be Natsuhi.
おじい様の形見分けか何かでもらったものだそうで、とても強い魔除けの力を持つ由緒正しい霊鏡だとかなんとか。
同じ話は私も聞いたこと
Well,
が
okay, we got a replacement.
鏡は良くないものを反射して弾き返す力があるのだとか。
Why don't we use that one?
その霊鏡があれば魔女のベアトリーチェに対抗できるかな。
When George proposed this, the servants looked up.
祀っていた鳥居と祠はもうないかもしれないけれど、霊鏡がもう一枚あるのは重要なことだよ。夏日おばさんの実家は神職にも通じていると聞いたことがある。
Not like she's like Chizuru
それは本当に
from KOF.
単なる鏡ではないかもしれない。
確か奥様は宝物箱に入れて大事にしまっている
Oh, I wonder if
とおっ
that's
しゃっていたような気が
I
しま
wonder if
す。
that's what she gave Jessica in the first episode.
そんなに大きいものではないのかもしれません。
大きさの問題ではなかったと思います。私が割った鏡も一見大したことのない小さな鏡に見えました。
That must be the one she gave to Jessica. We didn't know it at the time.
こちらもオカルトの手段で対抗するしかない。ただこうして座っていても何も
Maybe that's why Jessica died this time, because she didn't have it.
単なる気休めだとしてもやってみる価値はあるよ。
Of course, this didn't mean George had accepted the witch. However, he thought it'd be necessary to have some kind of purification ceremony to heal the wounds in Shannon's heart. So this story about Natsuhi's spirit mirror was really convenient. Yeah, sure is.
魔女をやっつけようなんて大それたことは言わないよ。
は
でも魔女から身を守る魔除けがあってもいいと思う。前にマリアちゃんに聞いたんだけど、おじい様の部屋の扉は強力な魔除けが施されているんでしょ。さすがおじい様だね。オカルトに対する防御も十分だったわけだ。
Yeah, he took defense against the dark
行こ
arts.
う。夏日おばさんの部屋へ。
He was good in that class.
奥様の部屋には鍵がかかっていると思います。マスターキーはローザ様にお返ししてしまいましたし、キーボックスのある使用人室も施錠されてしまいましたし。
ならばその鍵は夏日おばさんが持ち歩いているは
Oh
ず。
boy, we gotta go retrieve it, huh?
礼拝堂にはまだ
Ew.
夏日おばさんの遺体があるはずだ。警察が来る前に勝手にいじってしまうのは悪いことだけれど、それに
しかし礼拝堂の入り口
Well,
の
so
鍵
much for
が
that
かけられております。
I guess we can just smash a window.
ゴーダさんの腕力じゃガラス1枚割れないのかい。その辺の石で叩き割
You're
れ
a
ばいい。
pretty big guy, Koda-san. For you, Master George.
大切な礼拝堂の窓を破ってしまってもそうよろしいのでしょうか。
おじい様に怒られるときは僕が責任を持つよ。僕はもともと今日後宮家の全員と戦うつもりでいた。君との婚約を許してもらうためにね。だから
I'll beat them all
元
up.
よりその覚悟はある。ガラスを割ろう。そして夏日おばさんの遺体から鍵を借りよう。
Well, this seems like a good plan. I'm sure it'll go great. George's announcement that he'd take the responsibility seemed to have given the servants a great deal of courage. Shannon and Goda looked at each other, then looked at George's face again.
オカルトに詳しいおじい様だもの。夏日おばさんの霊境の力だってきっと理解してくれる。大丈夫。怒られたりなんかしない。
奥様の鏡で本当にベアトリーチェ様をもう一度封じることができるでしょうか。
Well, this is an interesting turn of events. We're gonna use the magic mirror.
でも試す価値はあると思う。なら行こう。表はどんどん暗くなっちゃうよ。急ごう。シャノンは懐中電灯を。ゴーダさんはガラスを割り
Do I think it'll work? Maybe. It doesn't seem like anything can, you know, once it hits midnight, that's it. You're done. I don't know if anything can stop whatever happens at midnight.
ゲンジさんはすみません。
But maybe,
傘の用意をお願いします。
but Beatrice certainly seemed to believe in the power of the first mirror, so. The servants who had been rejected by Rosa gained a new master and started to move. George, who was normally calm and gentle, was now radiating dignity. Shannon checked the emergency flashlight, just in case she changed the batteries. Goda was testing several heavy-looking cooking tools. Normally a highly praised chef like him wouldn't want to use them for something other than their intended purpose. But now he was frantic to fulfill the orders of the one he accepted as his master. After some worrying, he took a large, thick-feeling frying pan. Genji removed several umbrellas from the umbrella stand set in the corner near the kitchen door. He took 3 of them.
ゲンジさん。
私はご一緒できません。ご用命の時に全員がいないようなことがあって後ろ見分けしように。
そんな源氏さん、今のこの屋敷で一人でいることがどれだけ危
Yeah,
険か、
oh yeah,
あな
Genji's...
たもわかるでしょう。
I feel like anytime anyone's left in even like a group of 2, they're fucking done.
私は行け。親方様からいつお呼び出しがあってもいいので。私は
源氏様。
行ってジョージ様にお伝えするように。くれぐれも粗相
No blunders.
どうだ。手本となるようによろしく。
I feel like a lot of the time this game's death flags are pretty radiant.
お任せく
The
ださ
only,
い。
I guess the one time I've been super surprised was Nancho and Kumasawa earlier. But how could I have expected anything that happened in that moment?
本当にいいんですね。ゲンジさん。
はい。私はもうこの年です。今日までの人生は全て親方様に受けたご恩をお返しするための任務でした。このような老いぼれがどうなろうか、全てはルーレット。私はどのような結果が出るのかをここに座って見届けたいと思います。
As Genji said that, he sat down. As though saying that he didn't intend to discuss this anymore, his gaze fell to the chessboard that he'd played with Nanjo on. When George saw this, he decided to leave Genji there.
行こう、みんな。今は少し風もおとなしいみたいだ。
Oh yeah, Kinzo and Genji were for sure, guy best friends. I believe that for wholly. Alright, there we go. After they flew out of the room, Genji quietly stretched his hand out to the side of the chessboard. He softly pulled something there towards himself, covering it with his palm. Genji killed his breathing even more than before. As he did, something flashed gold. Ah, well, that was fast. From inside an ice pail set on the counter, a small gold butterfly appeared, softly and silently. It was almost as though it had seen George and the rest set off, and was trying to secretly chase after them. Yo! It happened in an instant. The elegant gold butterfly flapping its wings was pinned against the wall by the knife Genji threw, just like a butterfly in a bug collection. Why is Genji so cool? After the gold butterfly beat its wings several times, looking like it was in pain, it accepted the fact that it couldn't break free, became fine gold powder and smoke, and disappeared as though it had melted into water. Genji's kinda raw. Genji still gazed down at the chessboard as though nothing had happened. Maybe he would think up a brilliant move very soon, but no matter what move he made, his opponent would not be able to respond for all eternity. Even though he knew that Genji searched for a brilliant move, it must have been the perfect way to kill time during the short period before some fate would be given to him. He didn't know what result the roulette would bring about, but that decision would be made very soon. No one could interfere with the tumbling roulette ball. Genji's kind of cool. I didn't expect him to be, like, throwing knives. I didn't expect him to be combat butler. The door to the parlor was not only locked, but blocked with a barricade made of sofas and the like. Because of that, Aunt Rosa seemed to suspect that any suspicious person approaching would break in through the window. Sitting on a one-person sofa, her back to the door, she continued to hold onto her gun. I didn't know what was what anymore, and even though my body and mind were worn out, I played with Maria as she wanted. Maria had said it. Beatrice was testing us to see if we could solve the epitaph of the gold, so we had to try and figure out this riddle. In the beginning, I was a little interested and tried to solve it, but I didn't even have a clue to where to start in this weird text. I didn't doubt that there was some riddle hidden in there, but I seriously doubted I'd be able to suddenly leap to an answer. In the middle part of the epitaph, there were the lines going from the 1st to the 10th twilight, telling us to journey to the Golden Land. On the 1st twilight, offer the 6 chosen by the key as sacrifices. On the 6th twilight, those who remain shall tear apart the 2 who are close. It was obvious that this hinted at the first 6 murders that had already occurred in the chapel and Jessica and Kanon-kun's murders. If this was being followed, we still had to be prepared for 5 more people to be killed. On the 4th twilight, gouge the head and kill. On the 5th twilight, gouge the chest and kill. On the 6th twilight, gouge the stomach and kill. On the 7th twilight, gouge the knee and kill. On the 8th twilight, gouge the leg and kill. Dr. Danjo and Kumasawa Bachan's corpses still hadn't been found. However, if this follows the pattern and they are the sacrifices for the 5th and 4th twilights, they'll likely be found in a pitiful state with their head and chest gouged. So I guess it doesn't matter if they're alive or dead first. So, can we expect that 3 more of us will be gouged in the stomach, knee, and leg and killed? Who will it be? I looked around the room, noticing that there were 3 people here, but how should I put it? My emotions seemed paralyzed. Strangely, I didn't feel frightened. As I leaned against the sofa with the top part of my body, gazing up at the ceiling, Maria noticed. Apparently, she felt I was slacking off in my riddle solving. She got mad at me for not taking this seriously enough.
なあ、マリア。ベアトリーチェは確か、これを解いたらどうするって言ってたんだっけ?
Is Shannon still around? Yes. She's with George and Goda. I'm sure the witch wrote in her letter that she'd give up on collecting interest or something abstract like that. I optimistically took that to mean she'd give up on killing the whole family. But was it really written with that meaning? For some reason, I couldn't convince myself that solving the riddle would really save me. I feel like maybe, even if we do solve it, we'll just be doing what the culprit wants, and it'll all be a wasted effort.
そんなことはない。この碑文が解けたら、ベアとの儀式はおしまいになる。
Yeah, but what does ending
だからも
mean?
うそれ以上誰も死ななくなる。
本当にか? そういうルールを奴が提示してるだけだろ?
I mean, everything's kind of a rule she
こ
made
の
up.
謎を解けば、多分じいさまの隠し黄金のありかがわかるんだろう。奴はきっとそれを狙って。
おお、狙わないよ。
なんでそう断言できるんだよ。
黄金は最初からベアとのものだもん。自分のものを狙ったりなんかしない。
じゃあどうしてベアとは俺たちにこんな大ヒントを授けてくれたんだ? というか、どうしてこんなゲームじみたことを仕掛けてきたんだ?
魔法にはリスクが必要なの。
How stable is Rosa at the moment? Not very.
リスク? よく
Rosa hasn't been what I would think of as stable for a while.
例えばマラソン。完走すれば誰でももらえるメダルと一番になった人しかもらえないメダルって同じ価値だと思う？
思わねえぜ。つまりなんだよ。結局、奴は遊んでるってことなのか？わざとこっちにチャンスを与えるようなことをして。
違う。
違う。
それがね、魔法というものなの。どんな大きな魔法にも絶対にリスクや弱点があるの。ないといけないの。
魔法って言われるとピンとこねえが、ギャンブルだって考えれば少しは理解できるな。でかく失う覚悟がなきゃ、でかく。
Yeah, it's a gamble.
そして、勝ち目の薄いギャンブルであればあるほど、配当はでかくなる。
その通りだ
I
よ。
think I understand this.
だからベアトは儀式のリスクをちゃんとみんなに説明したの。だからこの謎を解けばちゃんと儀式は中断される。だってそれを約束違反したらリスクにならない。
これを解けば、奴は本当に約束を守るのか？
Well, theoretically, how it should work if you solve the riddle, then there will be no more magic left. There's no
花
gamble.
が枯れるのにどうして
Right? That
美
means
しい
you
の？
win your side of the bed.
浄化は見分けがつかないほど成功でもどうして美しくないの？人間は死を賭すから奇跡が起こせる。不死の人間がいたとしてその人物に何の奇跡も起こせる道理はない。私たちも人生も魔女も儀式も、私たちはリスクを負わなければ何も成し遂げられないの。
謎が解けたらどうするんだ？ピンポーンって鳴らして挙手して、回答を魔女に伝えて答え合わせをするのか？
If only it were that simple.
それは知らない。でも解けばきっと自動的に儀式が
That
終
sure
わ
is
る。
very vague and leaves a lot of room for many things to happen.
マリア
Almost like it's that way
詳
on
しいな。
purpose.
そいつはみんなベアトリーチェに習ったのか？
So, if you don't bear a risk, nothing can be gained, is that it? That definitely is the way of the world, but it's sort of in conflict with the chessboard thinking I like so much. At least when making moves in chess, players grope for the best move, always trying to avoid risk and hoping for an advantageous turn of events. They don't trust to chance, like in gambling. That's right, there's no room for gambling in an intellectual game. This is a game for intellectuals. For geniuses like me, Battler Ushiromiya. And yet this person called Beatrice has created such an outrageous crime, or maybe a ceremony, while purposefully imposing conditions for her own loss and announcing them to us. In chess, you always play your best move, so by putting yourself in your opponent's position, you can predict their next move. However, we can't be sure that Beatrice's moves are always the best moves possible. I thought she was probably making us focus on the epitaph to fool us in some way, speaking in riddles. But according to Maria, that alone was impossible. She said this was a genuine risk that the witch had taken, and therefore proof this was a formal ceremony for magic. I can't understand this witch called Beatrice. If she's committing this chain of murders with some goal in mind, why did she go to all the trouble of exposing the conditions for her defeat? No matter how I spin the chessboard around and think it from my opponent's perspective, I can't understand why she'd give up if the riddle is solved. Isn't it almost as though Beatrice doesn't care whether she wins or loses? Of course chessboard reasoning won't work against an opponent like that. I don't understand. What is Beatrice after that's making her carry out this crime? Yeah, she's got to get something out of it, right? Like, surely she wouldn't be doing this if she didn't get anything out of it. If she just wanted to massacre us all, she could have done it quietly without this whole crazy setup. There was no need for that kind-hearted advance notice, all this self-aware closed room stuff, or any of the rest. It's all overacting. I've got no clue what it means. Will I be unable to understand everything as long as I keep thinking of Beatrice as a greedy human culprit? If I don't accept her as a witch, will my chessboard thinking be stuck before I even lined up the pieces? If she really is a witch, and everything Maria said is true, then there's only one thing for us to do. The theory building and discord and searching from the culprit has all been pointless. We should have all gathered in the dining hall, combining our knowledge to solve the riddle. By combining the knowledge of that many people, we might have been able to grasp at least a thread of the answer. The greedy humans, each desiring to gain something over their opponents, were getting offered up as sacrifices one by one without gathering their knowledge together. In the end, did humans get what they deserved? They thought they were using their brains, but they were actually only thinking of their greedy selves. In the end, chessboard theory is a thinking technique where you project yourself on your opponent. So greedy people see their greedy selves inside their opponents. I looked lazily at Aunt Rosa. She was probably tired from being under all this tension the whole time. She couldn't sleep, but she kept staring vaguely at some point off in space. Aunt Rosa had announced that we couldn't trust anyone who hadn't been killed. Aunt Rosa's chessboard thinking saw herself inside her opponent. In other words, maybe Aunt Rosa was an isolated woman, unable to trust anyone and unable to let her guard down. Long ago, I think I heard a bit about it from my dad. Aunt Rosa was originally a very obedient child, but her age was too far separated from that of her siblings, and they often made conflicting demands of her during their confrontations. Thanks to this, she'd undergone a lot of psychologically harsh experiences in her youth. Somehow, that doesn't sound like something Rudolph would say, but okay. Often, when she copied one of her siblings, another sibling would give her a hard time. True, Aunt Rosa said many things today that could be taken as abusive. I think they should be taken as abusive. But that means those words were once showered upon her, which is why they were engraved in her vocabulary. The many abusive words that she'd spoken were also words that she'd been showered with in the past. Now that I think about it, I've had that feeling that her style of speech sometimes has traces of Uncle Kraus or Aunt Eva in it. I understood it as them being similar because they were siblings, but maybe it wasn't just that. For the first time, I truly sympathized with Aunt Rosa, whom I'd always assumed was just quiet and gentle. Then what about Maria? Maria's been making a certain claim for a while now. If we can solve the riddle the witch displayed to us, the ceremony will be halted and will definitely be saved. I think she also said that Beatrice will never break a promise. But this is Maria we're talking about. She herself never breaks promises, and she has the most innocent heart. So she believes Beatrice also won't break her promise. She's able to believe that. But isn't there just an image of Beatrice in Maria's mind? There's no proof that the real Beatrice always keeps her promises, right? Okay, thanks, Beatrice. Thanks for stepping in there to let us know. I love... It's a little... Obviously, it's intentionally blurred how much of, like, the knowledge from these segments Battler has that carries into, like, the actual narrative. But it's really funny how Beatrice, I'm starting to think, is exactly the same no matter what.
それ以上誰も死にはせぬ。お前みたいな怪道の極みがルールを遵守するってのかよ。わらわが残忍で卑劣で
I am all of these cruel and terrible and cool things.
だが、わらわは魔女だ。魔法を使う。魔法を使うには守らねばならぬルールがある。わらわは魔女だからこそ、それをないがしろにできぬのだ。それだけは信じるがよい。これだけめちゃくちゃやってきて、それでもルールだけは信じろってのかよ。わらわはたぶらかしはする。
For fun.
もちろん人も騙す。
Also for fun.
人間と変わらぬ。だが、約束として口にしたことを保護にしたことは一度もない。人間はどうか、約束を必ず守るのか？
I might murder people en masse, but at least I don't lie like you.
キャッチフレーズがある以上、ちゃんと履行されてるかどうかは疑わしいな。わらわから見れば、人間の方がよっぽど
The real monster was man.
人間の約束ほど疑わしいものはない。わらわも時に人間と契約するが、くだらない願い一つ叶えるのに、どれほど厳重に取り決めをするか想像もつくまい。
It is kind of funny how she has that cute little pink bow.
少しでも隙があると、
連中はすぐに
Go turn yourself into a bean. I'm gonna tell some people that.
小さな豆粒に変身してみろとか言い出す。
From my perspective, it's the Jedi who are evil.
親父によく言われたぜ。契約書ほど怖えもんはねえって。よく読まずにハンコを押すやつは骨の髄までしゃぶられて当然だって言ってたぜ。悪徳で荒稼ぎしてやがったんだな。
察しろ。人は生まれながらに詐欺を知りはせぬ。
Tabula rasa,
どこかで被
baby.
った。だから覚えた。押し付け合わずにはいられぬ人の世の罪。はて、どこの魔女に聞いたやら。まあいい。そなたが思っているほど、わらわも無慈悲ではないぞ。
嘘をつけ。これだけの大勢をこんな残酷な方法で殺しておいて何が無慈悲ではないだ。約束は守るだと。
I may have Thanos snapped Canon's body out of existence, but at least I'm not a liar.
いい加減なことを言うな。俺はお前を認めない。断じてそれを譲らないことだけがお前への抵抗だと俺は信じてる。
See, you provoked him. Now he gave up on believing.
なるほど。永遠の苛波であるのは、わらわに対しても同じであるというわけか。
She probably did it on purpose.
かもしれぬな。千年は長い。魔女の強さは魔力より我慢強さで決まるのかもし
She's
れ
trying
な
to say she has a good amount of stamina,
い。
huh?
なるほど。ベルン教の恐ろしさもうなずける。
We've only met Burn Castle once. But Beatrice seems to have some sort of respect for her.
何をわけのわかんねえ話をブツブツ言って
I
や
don't
が
know
る。
what you're talking about, lady.
さっさと永遠の苛波とやらを続けろよ。俺は1000年でも1万年でも付き合う覚悟だぜ。
よいよい。少しは戦う気力も戻ってきたようだな。そうでなければつまらない。ほら、対戦ゲームでもよくあるだろう。乱入したけど、相
What
手
is
が
the
あまりに
what
弱
was
く
the
て拍子
cartoon
抜け
boing
で
for?
わざと負けて最終ラウンドまで延長させて。
I like how Beatrice is like just admitting to sandbag.
最後に本気でフルボッコにすることとかってあるだろ
う。例えの意味がわかんねえよ。
It's called collusion, Battler. It's when they split the first place pot.
ワインと同じよ。
Haven't you ever been to Evo,
よく
Battler?
熟成させねば輝かぬ。お前はそれに耐えられるワインだ。わらわがじっくり熟成させてやる。
I'll train you just right,
そな
Battler.
たをわらわの優雅な時間を彩る最高の美酒に育て上げてやるぞ。だからこの程度で屈服などするな。わらわを引き続き否定してくれよ。何しろわらわはそなたが認めぬ限り儚き幻想に過ぎぬのだから。
My hair is looking wonderful today. Well, thank you, Griffith. But you know, redeeming a compliment means I compliment you, not you compliment me. Not that you. Then again, you should be complimenting me all the time for free. You pay me with your channel points to compliment you. That's how the relationship works. Griffith from Berserk, your hair is looking wonderful today. I'm always been a big fan of Griffith from Berserk's hair. Very, very fluffy, very wavy. I respect it. You have a good night, Griffith from Berserk. I'm always happy to see you here in my chat room. That's a lot of cackling. Wow. Ah. Oh, they broke the window. Okay. We're back with George and the Scooby
何
gang.
度見ても辛いな。
教授、お察しします。シャノンさん、鍵を頼みます。 お亡くなりになられたとはいえ
Why are you telling her to do it? You do it.
私には触れることができません。
Oh, yeah, sure, whatever, man.
はい。
Shannon nodded sharply, her expression filled with a sense of duty. George, Goda, and Shannon had broken a suitable window and were inside the chapel. Since they really hadn't wanted to break one, they'd searched for another way in just in case. But in the end, after proving once again that there was nowhere they could slip in through, it only became more obvious that this chapel was a mysterious closed room. Inside the chapel, time had stopped ever since the last time they'd left it. Even George wasn't able to approach that gruesome Halloween party again. It was only natural. Reminded him again of the sadness of losing both parents at once. And Goda, thinking of the possibility that those corpses might have changed in some horrible way now that half a day had passed, didn't want to let George get near them. Shannon followed Goda's instructions and approached the party table. Normally, Shannon might have resented having another dirty job forced on her, but now she could truly understand Goda's mental state. Even though Goda had prodigious skill, he'd gotten dragged into trouble losing his job and ending up left out in the streets, before Natsuhi gave him a new life. Oh, really? I didn't know this part. Though it had been just a casual employment decision for Natsuhi, Goda must have thought it a turning point in his fate. Those around Goda could see that he felt a special kind of loyalty to Natsuhi, so he probably didn't want to lose that feeling even after her death. This is Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Now that half a day had passed, the bodies of Natsuhi and the rest had changed completely. Ew, ew. Small bugs sniffing out the smell of death had started to gather. It really wasn't something you'd want to look at directly.
奥様、失礼いたします。
Because of her long experience as a servant, Shannon had an idea of which pocket Natsuhi kept the key to her room in. It would probably be this pocket. Her guess didn't fail her. Well, I'm glad we got it in one. You don't have to hang around that corpse for much longer. Just by touching the outside of the pocket, she was immediately able to feel it.
ありました。奥様の部屋の鍵です。
Shannon held the key up high, showing the others that it had been found. As George and Goda watched her, their eyes opened wide. That wasn't the expression Shannon was expecting, so it startled her. Uh-oh. Look out! After all, Shannon hadn't noticed. George and Goda watched from afar, noticing it first. After all, when Shannon held the key up high, a blizzard of gold leaf had steeped up from around the table. They were countless gold butterflies. It was the first time George had seen them, so it might have looked like some kind of illusion. But Goda already knew. He knew that those gold butterflies were far from beautiful, and that they would bring about some kind of misfortune. And that gold swelled, trying to suck Shannon in.
Shannon-san! 走って!
Shannon also realized that gold butterflies were trying to swallow her up. She ran unsteadily, her expression still shocked. As she did, the gold butterflies danced all around her at once. They grouped together. They tried to swallow her up. Use your burgeoning wife guy power, George. You gotta save her. George and Goda rushed up to Shannon, driving off the cloud of butterflies. And while the butterflies were scattered, they ran towards the broken window. However, they needed a good footing to get out of the window, which was surrounded by shards of broken glass. When they'd entered, there had been enough time to prepare for that, but now there was none. Oh no! Do I still think George is a psycho? A little bit. I never doubted that he genuinely loves Shannon. I just think he's a little bit of a sociopath. I'm sure we still have many things to learn about George. Goda took off his jacket, swinging it around and scattering the group of butterflies. But saying he was outnumbered would be... He's just rich? Well, I mean, that's true. That's just being rich? I guess that's true. I guess grooming your servant is all part of being rich. I still have my doubts. I think we haven't learned everything there is to learn about George. That's all. That's all I'm saying. But saying he was outnumbered would be a real understatement. It was doubtful that it even bought them a short amount of time. George struggled with the broken handle. Its age showed and it didn't turn well. I can't leave it to strength, it needs the right angle or there's some trick to it.
George-sama! Kusou! Kono bakemono domo ga!
At that moment, Goda saw it. He was seen by it. In other words, their eyes met. On top of the party table, no, with the stained glass behind it, floating, laughing, was the figure of the witch. He saw the figure of the laughing witch in the center of the golden whirlwind, with the gold butterflies fluttering about at the ready. It should have been Goda's first meeting with her, but he knew her at a glance. Just like the other servants had said, this was certainly the witch of the portrait herself. Okay, so this time she's in the other outfit. Interesting.
そろそろ晩餐の時間ではないか。すでにわらわはこの屋敷のホストである。そなたらを素晴らしきディナーで歓待しなくてはならぬというもの。おあつらい向きに三人では。
There's gotta be some significance to when Beatrice appears in this outfit versus her other one.
これは実に好都合。
Oh, they escaped.
開いた。
ゴーダさん、早く。ベアトリーチェ様。
You think it's just fashion? I mean, but like intermittently she appears in this outfit and then the normal dress. I also love this song. That's what I think too, Hatsune Miku.
ここがそなたらの墓場にふさわしいというなら、それもよかろう。
World and Dominator is the name of this song. Yeah, this song is great. I was listening to the soundtrack on YouTube a bit, and I'm like, this just sounds like something from Tekken. What's going on?
かつての主の傍らにて、死後も使えたいというその心意気を与えようぞ。
The golden whirlwind that wrapped around the witch burst. It was like an evil hand that literally spread its fingers and was trying to attack them. Master Hand! A cloud of gold butterflies attacked with a fluttering sound. George's voice brought Shannon and Goda back to their senses. Standing here now would make them like frogs getting stared down by a snake. They had to resist. They had to fight this incarnation of the new, brutal, and frightening order in which Rokenjima had been enveloped. This Beto strap made of gold butterflies? Perhaps. She can make it appear when and where she wants. There was no time to take out their umbrellas. The three of them dashed out into the pouring rain. The three of them never realized because they didn't turn around, but the gold butterflies apparently couldn't handle the rain too well, and this hampered their ability to chase after the humans. The three people ran from their golden pursuers and flew into the mansion. Gotta go. I gotta fucking schmoof. They unlocked the door and dashed into the room. A bit of the scent from Natsuhi's favorite gentle incense remained in there. However, there was no time left to let that calm them now.
どこにあるんだ。宝物箱の中って言ったっけ。
話に聞いただけです。実際にどこにあるかまでは。
多分お化粧台かベッドの脇にあるんじゃないかと思います。
George and Goda are like, where do women put things? Shannon's womanly sensibilities, yeah, exactly, led her to conclude that. But next to the bed, there was only an incense burner, a half-read novel, and glasses. However, the dresser was elegant and had many drawers, and it would be understandable if she'd kept some of her valuables there. He began to violently open each one of the drawers. He had to hurry. He couldn't actually hear footsteps, but he had the feeling that the witch was approaching. He had the feeling that her laugh was approaching. It's very loud. They could probably hear it from there. He emptied the drawers one by one and examined their contents. Every small box for makeup looked like a treasure box, and the amount of effort it would take to inspect all of them made him feel a little dizzy. Smash it. At a glance, it looked slightly larger than a music box. When shaken, it rustled as though various small objects were inside. But it was locked and didn't open. Just like Smash It, it can't be that tough.
やむを得ない。壊そう。でも乱暴にはできないね。中の鏡を割ってしまうかもしれない。こじ開ける道具はないから。そう。
Goda looked all over the room, trying to see if there was some tool they could use. And he noticed the door, which had been left open ever since they'd entered. He approached the door to close it, and saw the abominable shadows of people approaching from the darkness in the hall. No, it wasn't shadows of people, because they weren't human at all. Goda's voice trailed off. It was the shock of seeing a procession of those not of this world. He was a servant, so he knew all the servants working for the Ushiramiya family, but he didn't know about these. However, they were definitely servants, and not servants working for Ushiramiya Kenzo or Ushiramiya Kraus. Oh, it's the Goatmen. Here they come, look out! The furries are attacking. These new servants, who worked for the new master of the mansion, the Golden Witch Beatrice, had goat heads and bright red boiled eyes of lava. The laser swords are back! As the new master laughed loudly and trimly directed 6 of the new servants, he saw them approach, piercing the darkness they came. Of course, she was clad in the gold butterflies that was her symbol. Yeah, fucking... I love Goda just like glancing outside and was like, oh fuck, closes the door. I did see console Goatmen. Yes, they're fucking jacked for some reason. Goda hurriedly closed the door and locked it. However, just as he locked it, it returned to normal, just as though a spring or something had knocked it back. Boing! Boing! It gave the illusion that some prankster beyond the door was unlocking it every time he locked it. They couldn't have reached the other side of the door yet. So who was doing it, and how? It almost felt like playing with a broken toy. Please break the box open already. It was like the witch could see Goda-san's frantic effort through the door. Even now, the footsteps continued to approach. And when not just their footsteps, but even their breath could be heard, Goda gave up on the lock and slammed into the door, using his own large body.
レターオープナーか。そっちの方がいいね。貸して。万年筆じゃうまくいかない。
He is the pen. George took it and once again dug into the crack under the lid of the treasure box. It looks like it's working. The pressure from across the door grew even stronger. Goda screamed. This wasn't a war cry during a test of strength. He was terrified. He was simply terrified that nothing but a single wooden door was stopping him from touching something not of this world. But he was still lucky. He wasn't touching the things directly, because they were on the other side of the door. So if he were to touch them directly, Goda's cry would surely turn from something brave into a pathetic, piercing scream, and therefore one that was more real. Oh, she's gonna get ya! Ooh, she's gonna get ya! Goda couldn't believe what was happening right before his eyes. Coming through the door, an arm was slipping straight through the wood like it was water, as though doing this was the most natural thing in the world, and it rubbed the back of Goda's hand as he frantically tried to hold the door shut. It slid up his arm to his chest, and then up to his chin. By now, Goda's scream wasn't even audible anymore. He could hear a sweet, whispering voice from across the door. It wasn't coming from the witch, but it sounded like a young woman. However, that didn't change the fact that it came from someone not of this world. Hi! There she is. appears.
教えてね
Her pachinko sprite is something. Have we met this one yet? I think we have. Yeah, we've seen her. I like her hair more in the pachinko version, admittedly. There goes Goda. That lewd arm burst. Then they heard the sound of something jumping around the room at incredible speed. This is the new one? Oh, okay. They didn't know what it was. Incredibly fast, small, like a steel or maybe a beetle. When it buried itself right in the center of Goda's chest and stopped, they realized for the first time that its true form was something like a stake with a strange design on it. Goda's large body shook, bent backwards, and fell over. As it did, the door opened softly, even though no one was pushing it, welcoming in the new master of this room. It looked almost as though the door itself had accepted her. Oh no! Here they come! They got their energy swords out! The goat attendants came in one after another, 6 of them. You'll just have to trust us on it, we don't have enough room for all those sprites. Then the witch came in and the gold butterflies came in. The room was wrapped in a blizzard of gold leaf which fell and piled up, turning it more and more into a world of gold. Oh, okay. Now she's in her witch form.
ルーレットはそなたとジョージを選んだ。解放の日に感謝せよ。未練はあるの？ないよな。惚れた男から婚約指輪をもらって。夜も共にしないうちに殺されてしまっても未練なんかないよな。
なんかないよな。I like it when her voice gets deep like that. It's funny.
女の幸せを教えてもらいたかったんだろう。ああ、シャーノン、ダメダメ。垂れてるぜ。お前の口元から未練が。
Ew.
だらだら垂れてんのが見えるぜ。シャーノン。
She's having a wonderful time. It was the sound of the lid of the treasure box breaking open. Beato represents deep girl voice, right? So true. I love women with deep voices. When George turned it over, accessories, charms, very small objects that Natsuki had treasured when she was a girl fell out. Mixed in with that was a pouch that stood out from the rest. He picked it up and was immediately sure. This was it.
見つけた。これだ。
いいって及ばなかったの。死ね！くそ！
All at once, the gold butterflies attacked George, who was hurriedly trying to remove the contents of the pouch. Oh, what? What is this? What? At that time, a bright red flash seemed to light up the room. Why are we in, like, the cockpit hut of a mecha? The red flash seemed to cut a hole in the cloud of gold butterflies raging around the room, drawing a circle with Shannon at the center. Oh, okay, so Cannon can use a sword and she has like a big bubble shield? Wham! So the resulting scene looked truly divine. Almost as though a single streak of red light had cut through the clouds in this world of gold. George, who was curled in a ball trying to protect himself from the group of butterflies, didn't have a clue what was going on. Then he noticed that Shannon was standing guard in front of him, shielding him, as she glared at the witch and the rest with a serious face she'd never shown him before.
忘れていた。
I'm out here!
そなたもまた金蔵の優れた家具だった。
So all of Kinza's furniture can use energy
そ
weapons?
れもカノンよりだいぶ熟成した。
Does that mean Genji can too?
カノン君をよくも殺したことじゃない。
よくも亡骸を消し去り、その
Well, also killing him is pretty bad.
おやおや、シャーノ、それを怒ってるのか？カノンに会えなくて寂しいならわらわに頼めよ。いつだって会わせてやるというのに。
Yeah, no. When the witch snapped her fingers, one of the 6 goat attendants glittered gold and changed into Canon. It was definitely a sight to make one doubt their eyes. It was definitely Canon's face. Yeah, you keep making weird noises whenever you move your head. It's not supposed to do that. However, in those eyes, the glint of Canon's integrity was nowhere to be seen. They were the hazy eyes of furniture that only obeyed the orders of the witch. George couldn't understand the scene right before his eyes, and he finally understood why Goda and the rest had been unable to talk about what they'd seen in the servant room.
楽しいですか？
I'm having a great time!
死が引き裂いた二人を再会させるのはいつだって楽しい。死で引き裂いて一度、合わせて二度、もう一度引き裂いて三度楽しめるのだからな。さあカノン、姉と遊んでやりなさい。もし痛めつけられたら思いっきり苦悶の表情を浮かべてやるといい。
It gets me every time. I don't know why, but something about the way the energy swords appear is like perfect comedic timing. From the imposter sus Canon's arms, a strangely shining curve extended. He planned to tear Shannon apart with that. With a single stroke, he would attack Shannon, and he still hadn't prepared her heart, and...
許さない。一度ならず、二度までも死者を汚すなんて許せない。
ほざくな。弟に殺されろよ、ショーノ。
Let me into the bubble, Shannon! Let me in!
いい夢が見られるぜ。
Oh, you know what? I haven't seen the pachinko sprites for the swords. I didn't think they would look any different. Does this look any different? No, okay. Beatrice charging a forward smash right outside Shannon's shield. I'm charging up, Shannon! You can't stop me! You're too busy holding down back. I'm jumping in! The imposter Susk. Canon certainly seemed to lunge at Shannon, drawing several purple curves. But when he flew at her, it was as though some kind of invisible wall had been placed in front of her. The wall repelled the imposter Sus, leaving a bright red ripple on its surface. No, it didn't repel him, it smashed him. Knocked him back, turning him into golden dust in a little bits, scattering him. The foolish furniture who had taken Canon's form and even disgraced his honor after death broke into countless gold butterflies. And then those butterflies themselves broke into pieces, and those pieces were broken into pieces, until there were no longer butterflies but a golden splash that faded away. George, I think you might want to hurry this up, bud.
ジョージさんはそこから動かないでください。中心軸をずらしたくない。
I don't know what that means.
これは驚いた。虫一匹殺せない面をしてこれだけの力を見せたか。なるほど。霊境がそなたに力を貸しているというのか。しかしその霊境の本当の力を
I don't know, it seems to be doing a pretty good job. I think you might be bullshitting a little bit, Beto. Oh no, they're glowing brighter. The spirit mirror George gripped had let out a divine glow, displaying a strength powerful enough not to submit to wicked forces. But that glow was no match for the witch's sinister nature.
これだから家具は怖い。予期せずしてタンスの角にぶつける足
Oh,
の
I
小
hate
指
it when
の
that
よう
happens.
な気持ちよ。これだから家具は怖い。家具が。家具。
Kaga!
私は家具じゃない。そしてあなたを今はとても哀れに思う。
She does seem to be coping a little bit because she can't get through the shield.
ほう。1000年の魔女に100年も至らぬ家具が今何と言ったか。
あなたはとても哀れな人。愛し合う二人に未練がないわけがない。でもあなたの期待するような未練はかけらほどもない。
語るか、家具の分際で。ジョージと結ばれたくてわらわの靴を舐めた日々を忘れてわらわにそれを語るか。
I think you might be rewriting history a little bit, but okay.
愛に生き泥濘を這うが人間。それを嘲笑い見下しているつもりであなたはそれにはるかに劣る。私は今こそあなたを哀れに思う。愛し合う二人にとって添い遂げることにどれほどの意味が。意味はある。きっとある。でもそれはあなたの言うこととは全然違う。もっと新鮮にしてあなたごとき邪悪が口にする資格もないほどの新鮮な意味がある。
I like it. I think it's funny that Shannon so far is the only one who seems to be able to stand up to
すでに何の
Beto.
未練もない。ジョージさんと愛を誓い合った。その証として指輪を受け取った。それで永遠の誓いは完了した。あなたがどんな邪悪な魔法や悪意で私たちを災難だとしても永遠は汚さない。
Like she tells her off at every chance. It's kind of funny. Oh, she's seething. Look at her.
綺麗事を詩人のように語るな。愛は情欲なんだよ。少女漫画みたく綺麗事ばっかりで語れねえんだよ。男どもはお前の匂いに惹かれて群がる牛
Get
前
drawn
ど
to
も
your
なんだ
female
よ。
scent.
そんなこともその年でまだ理解できねえのかよ。お前は失望するぜ。その後ろのメガネ男のどす黒い欲望、一度でも覗いちまったら、がっかり。
Listen, it's not George's fault. He looks like a hentai protagonist, all right? I like how she said Zenzen Damede this time. George can't help that he was born with hentai protagonist face, okay?
何様のつもりだよ、語りやがって。愛なんて結局はど汚ねえ汚物をどう
He can't help that he looks like Pudgy Shikitono.
そいつに気づいて人は大人になるんだろう。死ねよ、クズ。家具スクラップ。
Something tells me this rant is coming from a bit of a personal place of projection for
お前を
Beto.
汚らわしいウジ虫に変えてやるよ。
I think you're projecting a
それでもその
little
メ
bit.
ガネがお前を愛するか試してやるよ。そいつの愛のどぎたねえ現実ってやつを教えてやるよ。
Lesh.
死ねよ、ガラクタが。てめえが愛を語るんじゃねえ。
I think she's been ticked off a little bit. The invisible column of light with Shannon at the center started to have bright red ripples drawn all over at once. The wall did its best to withstand the unseeable malice that tried to corrode in on them from all directions.
なんだよそれは。抵抗してるつもりかよ。安っぽいんだよ、薄っぺらいんだよ。お前の綺麗事と同じなんだよ。
Seems to be working. I don't know,
見せかけだけ
Beto.
の薄っぺら。見たくないものをベールで覆って隠してるだけなんだよ。まだわかんないのかよ。だから家具なんだよ。
She just keeps going.
ほら削られてるぜ。カリカリコリコリガリガリゴリゴリなんて薄くて情けないんだよ。
I don't even have to click to advance any of this.
抵抗に比べたら
Parmigiano Reggiano, mamma mia.
まだ 削るのに苦労がいるぜ。
Why love doesn't mean anything. A thread, 1 out of 1,000. The golden windstorm that covered the room gradually began to shave the walls off the column that protected Shannon and George. The bright red ripples frantically drew a resisting pattern, but that just turned it into a red wall of despair that began to wrap the two of them up.
庄司さん、
Yeah, okay.
ごめんなさい。
Running out of gas here, George.
やはり
You gotta get that mirror, dude.
私には無理でした。
ありがとう。君は僕のために戦っ、それだけで嬉しいよ。
The round wall that had once protected them was assaulted and covered with a curve of bright red ripples as it seemed to scream, and it began to suck the two of them up instead. You just use a shotgun sound.
庄司さん、お願いが。
Shannon grasped George's hand behind her, so George hugged her shoulders just as strongly.
なんだい。
最後に愛してるって聞かせ。
最後。僕は
Ah, well, so much for that. Oh god, the clock is so big! What time is it even is it? 9, okay. I think actually this will be where we'll have to wrap it up for tonight. I was thinking about going longer. I know it's been a slightly shorter stream than the last Umineko one, but I think looking at my princessly time clock, it's where we're going to have to wrap up for tonight. And I think that is a stop. Okay, thank you. That's a good stopping point on that scene. So we'll come back on what is it, Wednesday. More Umineko on Wednesday. So please look forward to it. It's been popping off. It's been pretty entertaining. We got to see Battler Mauled. We got to see Beato Mauled. It seems to be a real back and forth battle here between the two of them, seeing who can cope and or see the hardest. So thanks for watching, everybody. We're gonna go raid Mom, Shinny Mommy. She's playing Final Fantasy XIV, and we all love that here, don't we? We all love Final Fantasy XIV. So I appreciate everybody who watched. As always, my wonderful subjects who I enjoy the company of. I appreciate Baga Tyler for the raid. Giving all your subjects up to me must not be easy, but rest easy knowing they're in a better place now. And I will see you on Wednesday. Thank you, everybody. So let's hit that raid. If you're subscribed to me, just post the Amogus emote. I think that would be funny. Okay. Good night, everyone.